Chapter 50-30. In his opinion, Lin Xian would definitely be torn apart, but he didn't see such a scene. Lin Xian was unscathed, standing there with a sneer on his face. No, damn it, how was this possible? The old man of the undead clan was stunned. Had his forbidden martial arts lost its effect? This was impossible. He could clearly feel that there was an additional trace of the aura of the lightning tribulation in his body. In other words, he would be punished by the heavenly lightning. This meant that his martial arts were effective. But why wasn't the body of the person in front of him broken? Could it be related to those sword chi? He stared ahead. There were many dragon-shaped sword chi around Lin Xian, like giant dragons, roaring towards the sky and cutting through heaven and earth. That's right. These were the dragon-shaped sword chi of the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul's attack was unparalleled and could cut through everything. Although the other party's curse was incomparably strange, Lin Xian could cut through it, and was in an invincible position. Damn it! This kid was too strange. The old man of the undead clan roared towards the sky. In the distance, 3 more figures flew over. The 4 great experts froze heaven and earth. Their cold eyes stared at Lin Xian. In addition, the other 3 were also holding strange weapons. With the undead clan flag, they seemed to be able to take away a person's soul. The 4 great experts besieged Lin Xian together. Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He didn't attack again. Because the attacks of these 4 people were very strange, and he had more important things to do. He had obtained the Illusion Fiend scripture. He naturally wanted to cultivate the inheritance of the great emperor as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew into the distance. Kid, do you want to leave? The experts of the undead clan attacked frantically. However, Lin Xian waved his hand, and a sharp sword chi sent one of them flying. That person was instantly split in half. The other's scalps went numb. So terrifying? Chase. Kill him. This kid must have a treasure on him. The 4 great experts attacked again. However, at this moment, the undead spirit elder who took the lead screamed. Thunder was accumulating in his body, and a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, charring him black. Damn it, he didn't dare to give chase anymore. He used all his strength to resist the heavenly lightning. The other 3 people also stopped when they saw this scene. Damn it, could it be that this brat wanted him to escape? Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. He's under the influence of the necromancer's melody. We can track him down. Help me get through the heavenly lightning first. The undead spirit old man who had attacked earlier gritted his teeth and said. He felt that his life was in danger. The other 3 also helped out. On the other side, Lin Xian used Shadowless Heaven's net and quickly left. But he still underestimated the necromancer. This kind of thing was very strange. No one else could sense it. However, the undead spirit clan could clearly sense it. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a bright light in the dark night in their eyes. It was very clear. Not only that, but the faces of the undead spirit clan also became extremely strange. Because they found that their target was flying towards one of their palaces. Did this guy come to throw himself into the trap? These people began to secretly set up various formations. There were also experts hiding, preparing to give the other party a fatal blow. Lin Xian didn't know that the direction he was heading towards was the territory of the 4 Spirits clan. It wasn't the headquarters of the other party's clan, but it could be considered a powerful palace. There were many experts and formations inside. When he arrived at this place, he found that the situation was not right. There was an extremely terrifying aura around him, full of murderous intent. At the same time, countless figures appeared. These people looked similar to spirits. It was extremely strange. The aura on their bodies was cold. Haha, brat, you actually dare to come to our palace. Do you want to die? The members of the undead spirit clan laughed heartily. Lin Xian's brows furrowed tightly. It seemed that he had come to the wrong place. This was actually the other party's palace. But so what? Lin Xian's eyes burst with an extremely cold light. Was it a palace? Then destroy it. He waved his hand, took out the Hellfire Dragon Sword, and slashed forward. With a clang, the sky was cut in half. A great sage of the undead spirit clan was instantly split open, and fell to the ground. The surrounding people were stunned. The other party was so strong. He killed a great sage on their side with just one move. Damn it, these people's faces were ugly. They gritted their teeth. You actually dare to attack us? Kill him. These people were crazy. This was their territory. Shouldn't the other party kneel down and beg for mercy in fear? Activate the formation. The undead spirit clan roared. The surrounding formations flickered, and they rushed over in an overwhelming manner. Die, brat. They sneered ferociously. With such a terrifying attack, the other party would definitely die. However, this time they made a big mistake. Lin Xian waved the Hellfire Dragon Sword, striking out a terrifying dragon-shaped sword energy. At the same time, he took out the sky-devouring jar and swallowed it in all directions. The surrounding formations continued to shatter. Not a single attack landed in front of him. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. The fire of reincarnation was activated. More than a dozen great sage of the undead spirit clan fell instantly. The surrounding people went crazy. What's going on? There were so many of them, but they couldn't do anything to a young man? Who was this young man? He was too scary. At this time, Lin Xian struck out the first sword of the Azura sword technique. In an instant, 5 figures were split open. Damn it. Those people fought back crazily. Lin Xian's figure swayed, and Shadowless Heaven's net dodged instantly. Then he struck out again. The second sword of the Azura sword technique. This time, more than a dozen figures were split open instantly. Damn it, what a terrifying killing move. This was the Azura sword technique. He was a top-notch killer. The surrounding people went crazy. At this moment, the 4 people who had attacked Lin Xian had also returned. It was especially so for the Rune Elder. When he saw Lin Xian killing everyone around him, he was dumbfounded. Damn it, what's going on? This kid actually killed his way into their palace? He even killed dozens of great sage. Damn it. Their eyes instantly turned red. Quickly activate the taboo martial arts. The old man roared, and someone took out a rune doll in an instant. They kept attacking Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared angrily and took out the great dragon sword soul. He operated the power of the sword world and swept it in all directions. With one strike, the rune dolls in the hands of those people were all shattered. Many people suffered from the backlash, vomited blood, and were sent flying. Their faces were filled with madness. What kind of scene was this? A young man had swept away a group of experts. It was too unbelievable. Not good. He has a treasure in his hands, and it's not something we can contend against. Go and invite the Dead Souls Abyss over. The Dead Souls Abyss was the #1 genius of the Undead Spirit clan. At the same time, he was also the extremely terrifying Great Sage. His strength was unparalleled. As long as he appeared, he could definitely suppress this kid in front of him. Lin Xian snorted coldly and strode over. He looked into the distance. There was a large flag there, and there was an extremely terrifying soul aura on it. This should be an extremely terrifying soul treasure. Not only that, there was a trace of reincarnation power on it. It was a reincarnation rune. Chapter 50-31. Stop right there. Seeing Lin Xian walking toward the talisman flag, the surrounding undead spirits roared crazily. Lin Xian ignored them. The surrounding undead spirits gritted their teeth in anger, but no one dared to act rashly. The method that the other party used was too terrifying. Young man, you're too arrogant. Do you really think you can behave atrociously here? A cold voice rang out. This is the palace of our undead spirit clan. Our foundation is not something you can imagine. A woman in a black robe walked out. Her face was cold, and her eyes were filled with killing intent. Protector, the undead spirits exclaimed, and then their faces were filled with joy. Great, their protector has come out. This kid is dead for sure. Lin Xian smiled. Kneel down and submit, or I'll destroy your soul. He pointed his sword forward with infinite domineering aura. You'll regret it, you'll regret it. The black-robed woman snorted. She waved her hand and took out a small flag. She shook it gently and suddenly, the surrounding sky and earth cracked. Gray fog filled the air and spread out in all directions. Soon, it enveloped the entire palace. Undead spirits' blood-killing array. Many elders exclaimed and soon they sneered. This array was not ordinary. It could be said to be a peerless array. Once it was used, it would consume a lot of energy. It could be said that unless it was a matter of life and death, it would not be used easily. Now that it was used, this kid would not be able to resist it no matter how strong he was. A peerless killing array? Lin Xian's face was cold. Is this your trump card? His eyes were filled with disdain. Yes, it was a peerless killing array. Once you enter, no one can escape. You'll definitely die. Outside the palace, the other people of the underworld trembled in fear when they saw this scene. Heavens! The palace of the undead spirits actually activated such a peerless array. What happened? Was there a sneak attack by a strong enemy? It shouldn't be. They didn't notice a large group of experts coming. Exclamations sounded one after another. However, they knew that no matter who the enemy was, no one would be able to escape once the array was activated. The old man from before walked out and sneered. Kid, you're no match for us. Now kneel down obediently and hand over all your secrets and treasures. We can give you a chance to live. They would never forget that Lin Xian had walked out of the Azura ruins. There must be a secret in the body, and they had to get it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. How could a mere array formation give you such confidence? What a joke. I've already said that this array formation can't do anything to me. The black-robed woman was thoroughly enraged. Since the other party was courting death, she would not hold back. Forming hand seals, the surrounding dead spirit blood-killing formation started to churn rapidly, and 36 dead spirit phantoms appeared. Every single one of them held a sword of slaughter in their hands. It was terrifying to say the least, and there was a sea of blood around them. This scene could really destroy a world. Young man, cherish your life. If you die, you will have nothing left. Only by being alive would there be hope. So just tell the secret obediently. Cold laughter rang out. Lin Xian waved his Hellfire Dragon sword and pointed it forward. Words were useless. Fight! He slashed out with his sword. The fire dragon danced in the air, and the sword chi slashed forward. It was useless. The black-robed woman had completely activated the array formation. 36 dead spirit phantoms stood tall. They held a sword of slaughter in their hands, and swept across the 9 heavens. In an instant, the void around Lin Xian shattered continuously. It's over. The dead spirit clan sneered. Lin Xian took a deep breath. The great dragon sword soul gushed out, as if it had merged with the Hellfire Dragon sword. The Hellfire Dragon sword burst out with extremely terrifying hellfire. Lin Xian took a deep breath and slashed out. Azura sword technique, second sword. The great dragon sword soul, and the power of the sword world made this sword extremely powerful. It was like a divine dragon attacking, slashing forward. The surrounding sea of blood shattered continuously. The 36 dead spirit phantoms were also violently attacked. Their figures became dim, as if they were about to shatter. No. When the surrounding elders of the undead spirit clan saw this scene, they were all horrified. What did they see? Could it be that their peerless array formation was about to shatter? Because of the other party's sword. Damn it, what kind of sword technique was this? It was too strong. What kind of trump card did this young man have? They couldn't believe it. The black-robed woman's face also turned pale. Her eyes were filled with deep shock. To be honest, she didn't put Lin Xian in her eyes at all. In her opinion, this was an ant that was not to be feared at all. But now she realized that she was wrong. The other party was like a sword god descending to the mortal world. The power of this sword was not something their array could withstand at all. Even the entire palace was about to be split in half. How could she know that Lin Xian didn't hold back in this attack? The Azura sword technique was a great emperor's ability. The great dragon sword soul's attack was unparalleled. In addition to the power provided by the sword world, the power of this sword definitely surpassed everything. The 36 dead spirit phantoms retreated, and a huge crack appeared between heaven and earth. The entire array became dim and lightless, and countless cracks appeared all around it. The elders of the dead spirit clan all vomited blood and retreated. Under this attack, it seemed that only Lin Xian stood there unscathed. I've said it before, your array can't do anything to me. Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. It made the dead spirit clan despair. The black-robed woman's eyes were also filled with despair. However, she soon stared at the other party. To be precise, it was the sword shadow in the other party's hand. The flames flickered and the dragon shadow circled around. Kid, the sword in your hand should be a super powerful weapon, right? No wonder you can withstand my peerless array. But so what? Our array uses the power of heaven and earth. It's our foundation. Once it's activated, we consume very little power. But what about you? You should have used all of your strength when you struck out with that sword, right? Do you still have the strength to strike a second time? It had to be said that this black-robed woman was indeed a top-notch expert. In an instant, he found the key to the problem. In his opinion, Lin Xian was nothing to be afraid of. Lin Xian had a peerless weapon in his hand, which was why he was able to contend with their array. And a peerless weapon required too much power. With the other party's strength, it would be very difficult for him to strike again. Thinking of this, she sneered. Although the process was somewhat tortuous, the result was destined. The other party would undoubtedly die. The black-robed woman's face was filled with madness. She kept forming seals. In the surroundings, the broken array flickered again. The power of the spirit veins below was quickly absorbed. The 36 dead spirit phantoms, which were originally dim and broken, condensed again. The blood-colored swords in their hands became terrifying. They turned into seas of blood one after another, surging between heaven and earth. Chapter 50-32. Lin Xian was expressionless. The other party was indeed strong, a top-notch expert. He was able to discover the crux of the problem in an instant. However, the other party had underestimated him. His sword strike used the power of the sword world, and it did not consume much energy. Therefore, of course, he was able to unleash a second strike. However, he did not want to use the power of the sword world anymore. This was not good for the development of the world itself, so he was prepared to take out another trump card. Heaven Swallowing Jar. It was said to be able to swallow even heaven and earth. At this moment, Lin Xian was prepared to use it. With a wave of his hand, a black jar appeared in his hand. The woman in black laughed out loud when she saw this scene. What, are you in despair? You want to use this broken jar to fight against me? In his opinion, that jar was pitch black and did not have any power at all. How could it be a peerless treasure? Go to hell. The undead roared. The 36 Reaper phantoms roared towards the sky, emitting a terrifying sound. It was as if they wanted to tear apart this world. The surrounding people felt their souls being violently impacted. This power was truly too terrifying. In an instant, Lin Xian was enveloped by the roar of the undead. The place where he was at had completely turned into a primal chaos void. Humph, it's finally settled. The woman in black snorted. She did not expect that she would have to use so many methods to deal with an ant. This time, they had used up too many resources. Next, their undead clan would have to go out and snatch other people's treasures in order to recover. Sigh, what a pity, the Azura's secret was unknown. The elders also shook their heads and sighed. However, to be able to kill such a potential enemy was considered extremely fortunate for them. Just when everyone thought that the matter was over, a vortex suddenly appeared in the shattered void. It spun rapidly, swallowing all the roars of the undead. Following that, endless black vortexes appeared in all directions. Several experts of the undead clan were instantly engulfed, letting out miserable cries. In the next moment, blood filled the air from the vortex. What was going on? Damn it, what was this? What exactly were these black vortexes? As soon as they arrived, cries of alarm could be heard. The people of the undead clan all went crazy and became terrified. Could it be that other than this brat, there was another expert here? The undead spirit elder from before roared crazily. He saw a black vortex coming towards him. He roared angrily, releasing a terrifying attack. Heaven overflowing natural laws swept out. But they were all swallowed up. His scalp went numb. He had never seen such a strange thing before. Protector. They all looked at the woman in black, seeking help. The black-clothed woman's face also darkened. What was going on? That brat was already dead. Who was it that was still trying to kill him? He shouted coldly. Who are you? Come out and meet me. I advise you to stop immediately. Otherwise, you'll offend my undead spirit clan. No matter where you go, you won't be able to escape death. You're really stupid. You can't even recognize me? In the void, a figure walked out of the vortex. Everyone raised their heads to look, and they were stunned. The woman in black exclaimed, "It's you." "Impossible. Aren't you already dead?" He was truly stunned. This was the brat he had killed before. The other party didn't die? Could it be that these black vortexes were created by the other party? Damn it! Where did the other party get such a powerful trump card? Stupid things, I've said it before. You're no match for me at all. But you didn't listen. Since you're courting death, don't blame me. Lin Xian shouted coldly. He held the black jar in his hand and shook it gently. Suddenly, the vortex expanded crazily as if it was going to swallow the entire world. The sea of blood in the sky kept disappearing. The 36 phantoms of the Grim Reaper were also shattered. It was as if a sky-devouring beast was crazily biting them. No. Seeing the phantoms of the dead disappear, the woman in black finally panicked. She felt that the power of the array was also being swallowed. The array was shattered into pieces. The sky-devouring jar was half an extreme weapon. Although it was incomplete, Lin Xian could display earth-shattering power by using a little of its power. At this moment, Lin Xian was using the sky-devouring jar to devour everything. Outside the undead spirit palace, countless people were watching. When they saw the phantoms of the Grim Reaper and the Sea of Blood, they knew that everything was over. Those powerful enemies had all fallen, and they were ready to leave and no longer pay attention. However, all of a sudden, they stopped abruptly and turned their heads to look. Their faces were filled with shock. Damn it, what's going on? Where did the vortex come from? What's that black vortex? Could it be an array of the undead spirit clan? It shouldn't be. Wasn't it already over? Exclamations sounded one after another. In the next moment, they investigated and were horrified to find that the vortex was devouring the vortex. The array formed by the undead spirit clan was quickly being devoured. These people were terrified. Could it be that those enemies were not dead yet? Heavens, this is too terrifying. What kind of existence did the undead spirit clan provoke this time? In the palace, the elders of the undead spirit clan were in despair. Even the protector's body was trembling. He had lived for thousands of years and swept across the world, looking down on everything. He had never seen such a powerful enemy, not to mention that the other party was just a young man. How could the other party be so powerful? Could it be that the other party was the legendary emperor's son? No, there were too few emperors, and they wouldn't come here alone. The protector shook his head. He felt despair. At this moment, it was just a palace. Was there anyone in the undead spirit clan who could contend against the other party alone? He thought of the number one genius of the undead spirit clan, the Dead Spirits Abyss. Perhaps the Dead Spirits Abyss could kill the other party. This was their only hope. Other than that, unless they mobilized a more powerful force in this palace, they would have to be 10 times stronger to be able to kill the other party. Between heaven and earth, the black vortex was still devouring. In the end, all 36 phantoms were devoured. The entire protective array was shattered into pieces. The black-clothed woman vomited blood and fell to the ground. Her face turned pale. She was the protector of the palace. When the array was broken, she was seriously injured. At this moment, she was weak. She was not far from death. Protector! The surrounding undead spirit clan members roared crazily. They knelt on the ground. They could not imagine that the most powerful protector of the palace would be defeated. Who could contend against the other party? Could it be that their end was coming? The black-clothed woman stood up with difficulty and gritted her teeth. I lost this time. The grudge between us is written off. You can leave now. Lin Xian laughed after hearing this. Written off? If my trump card was a little weaker, I'm afraid I would have died here long ago. Chapter 50-33. What do you want? The woman in black roared crazily. She had already bowed her head and admitted defeat. Was he going to continue? What do I want? Lin Xian sneered. Have you been so high and mighty for so long that you've forgotten what it's like to beg for mercy? Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body emitted a terrifying law that swept in all directions. He looked ahead and sneered. Beg for mercy? You have to look like you're begging for mercy. Kneel down and kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times. You. The woman in black was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. Kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times? What kind of joke is this? She shouted angrily. Kid, don't go too far. Although you've won, this is only the palace of the undead clan. It's not the headquarters. You may have won against me, but that doesn't mean you can win against the entire undead clan. You don't know how terrifying the undead clan is. Now that I'm letting you leave, I'm already doing you a huge favor. If you continue to be stubborn, you'll definitely die when the experts from the headquarters come. You're still threatening me? You really don't know what's good for you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the Hellfire Dragon Sword flew out and slashed the woman in half. The power of the Great Dragon Sword Spirit exploded and destroyed the other party's soul. With a scream, the woman in black turned into a bloody mist and no longer existed. Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed the other party's storage ring. The others were all crazy. No. Their eyes turned red. Their protector had actually fallen? Damn it, let's fight! The mighty ones of the undead spirit clan looked at Lin Xian and roared in a frenzy. For a moment, many people charged over. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Azura sword technique, first sword. Second sword. The 2 swords struck out together. One by one, the space between the eyebrows of the figures was split open, and their souls were destroyed. In the blink of an eye, the 100 experts had all fallen. The remaining people were facing a great enemy. The attacks of the few terrifying elders were all blocked by Lin Xian, and dodged by Shadowless Heaven's net. Lin Xian seemed to have turned into the god of death at this moment, blending into heaven and earth. Damn it, how did this happen? The undead spirit elder and the others were terrified, furious, and roaring. The other party was too strong. Other than his super powerful trump card, his strength was top-notch. A top-notch movement technique and a top-notch killer move. Damn it, this was the ultimate technique of the Infernal Assassin organization. The other party was a terrifying killer saint. On top of that, he had mastered the 2 martial monarch arts to such a terrifying level. They couldn't believe it. Stop it, we give in. The undead elder who had attacked earlier roared. The others also stopped, lowered their heads and said, let's go. We are no match for him. We admit defeat. Lin Xian looked around and sneered. I've said it before. Surrender. He had to look like he was surrendering. He had to kneel, kowtow, and admit defeat. Damn it. Undead elder and the others gritted their teeth and knelt down. They lowered their heads and said, we admit defeat. Lin Xian slashed his sword at the undead spirit elder, splitting him apart. His Tianji divine eyes shot out soul fire, burning the undead spirit elder. The undead spirit elder's heart and soul were destroyed. The others roared crazily. Damn it, we have already admitted defeat. What else do you want? Lin Xian slashed out with his sword again. Didn't I say that I won't kill you if you surrender? In an instant 2 elders fell here. The surrounding people became terrified. This was a demon god. An existence they couldn't provoke. No one dared to resist anymore. They knelt on the ground and buried their heads deep in the ground. Lin Xian didn't kill these people. He formed a seal with his palms and a pair of God's eyes appeared in the 9 heavens, looking down. Wherever his gaze passed, the seal of life and death appeared. He wanted to turn all these people into puppets. They were under his control. Damn it, these people felt the seal of life and death imprinted in their souls. They let out an unwilling roar. A few powerful elders wanted to resist, but they were swallowed by Lin Xian with the heaven-swallowing jar. They turned into blood water. The others couldn't resist at all. However, they still roared crazily. You have offended the undead spirit clan. You are dead. Just you wait, the number 1 genius of the undead spirit clan, Dead Spirit Abyss, will kill you easily. Roars sounded one after another, and finally, they all disappeared. These people knelt on the ground with respectful eyes, looking at Lin Xian and shouting, Greetings, Lord. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth raised. Very good. Now send a signal to your number 1 genius, and then set up a killing array. When he comes back, immediately kill him. After giving the order, the undead spirit clan began to move. Lin Xian, on the other hand, flew forward. He looked at the talisman flag. There was a mysterious talisman on it that carried the power of reincarnation. However, it seemed to be the opposite. Against the 6 paths of reincarnation? The 6 paths of reincarnation could make people reincarnate. However, against the 6 paths of reincarnation, it could make people's souls drift between heaven and earth forever. They couldn't disappear at all. The Undead Spirit Clan used this method to control countless undead spirits, and used it as a means of attack. He could feel that there were countless souls in the flag. These were all vengeful spirits that were deeply locked by this talisman. Lin Xian said, "I know you all have resentment. Don't worry, I'll let you enter reincarnation. I'll take this talisman away. However, you still have a chance to take revenge. I think it won't be long before the number 1 genius of the Undead Spirit Clan arrives. At that time, whether you want to take revenge or not will be up to you." As he spoke, Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and the power of reincarnation appeared. It began to dissolve the talisman on the flag. In the end, the talisman disappeared, and was taken away by Lin Xian. Countless souls rushed out from inside and roared at the sky. They looked at Lin Xian and kept worshipping him. "Thank you, benefactor. We definitely won't let that dead soul's abyss go." These people returned to the flag and hid. Lin Xian left. Although he didn't know what the dead soul's abyss was, he had already become a mortal enemy of the Undead Spirit Clan. Since that was the case, he wouldn't hold back. This time he would give the Undead Spirit Clan a big gift. The dead soul's abyss was currently in the 3rd level of hell. As the number 1 genius of the Undead Spirit Clan, he was very powerful. He was even confident that in this life, he could become a true great emperor. From then on, he could sweep through all the worlds. In the 3rd level of hell, he found an ancient tomb and fought against 2 organizations and sects alone. In the end, he defeated hundreds of people. He roared at the sky and shattered the cave with a palm, obtaining a few treasure boxes from inside. The corners of his mouth curled up, and the dead soul's abyss snorted. "A bunch of ants, you're no match for me. I'll definitely become a great emperor and rule the world." The people in the distance were terrified. This was too terrifying. This dead soul's abyss was definitely a top-notch genius in the entire underworld. He really had the talent of a young great emperor. "Leave quickly, don't make an enemy of him." Terrified voices rang out one after another as these people fled one after another. Ants. Looking at the fleeing figures, the dead soul's abyss was disdainful. But all of a sudden his brows furrowed. Chapter 50-34. Oh no, there was a problem with the palace. Who was it? Who dared to attack the undead clan? The abyss of dead souls did not look for other ancient tombs. Instead, he prepared to leave hell and head to the palace. No matter who it was, he would tear the other party to pieces if they dared to provoke the undead clan. With a sway of his body, he turned into a gray lightning bolt and disappeared in an instant. The demon was finally gone. When the abyss of dead souls left the 3rd level, the other trial takers heaved a sigh of relief. The other party's presence gave them too much pressure, so much so that they did not dare to make any moves. Fortunately, the other party had left. As for the reason, they could not be bothered to find out. The abyss of dead souls was very fast. When he arrived at the palace, his brows were tightly furrowed. He found that the palace was broken, and there were remnants of power around it. There was also a big crack in the sky. Obviously, there was a big battle here. Who was it? He roared and searched in all directions. In an instant he caught a few figures. Those were 2 great sage. At this moment, under the abyss of dead souls' big hands, they could not resist at all. They shouted angrily, "We did not offend you. Let us go. We will kowtow to you." The 2 great sage were terrified. The abyss of dead souls snorted. Who dared to attack the palace of the undead clan? The 2 great sage shook their heads. "We don't know. We only know that the undead clan activated a peerless array. There was an endless black vortex behind it. We did not dare to go over at all." The abyss of dead souls sneered. There was a gray light flickering in his eyes. He directly searched their souls. The 2 great sage screamed. They tried their best to resist, but how could they be a match for the abyss of dead souls? In an instant, their souls were shattered. The abyss of dead souls let go, his face cold. The 2 great sage were not lying. They really did not know who the enemy was. He snorted. No matter who it was, I will not let them go. His body swayed, and he strode forward. When he arrived at the palace, the abyss of dead souls shouted angrily, "Black-clothed guardian, come out and meet me." The abyss of dead souls' status was so high that even the guardian of the palace had to bow to him. However, at this moment he shouted a few times, but he found that no one came to see him. What was going on? The dead souls' abyss was furious. He waved his hand, and a mysterious rune appeared. "Undead spirit race, quickly come and meet me." His loud and clear voice spread in all directions, causing everyone to feel terrified. Soon one figure after another appeared in the shattered buildings and pavilions. They were from the undead clan. These people came before the dead souls' abyss, lowered their heads and spoke quickly. "Young master, please avenge us." The death spirit's abyss coldly snorted. "Who was he? Who dares to attack my undead spirit clan?" His eyes were filled with endless fury. However, at this moment, the eyes of the martialists who had lowered their heads gleamed coldly. The few elders who took the lead suddenly struck out, slapping the body of the dead soul's abyss viciously. Boom. Today there was an earth-shaking sound. The dead soul's abyss was sent flying, and several palm prints appeared on his body. He spat out blood and roared, "Damn it, are you guys crazy? How dare you attack me?" He really couldn't understand why his clansmen would attack. Could it be that these people were in disguise? But from the looks of it, that was not the case. The eyes of those from the undead spirit race shone with an extremely sharp light. "On the orders of the master, we're going to kill you. Kill." With a roar, these sages rushed over. All kinds of laws and magical powers were unleashed in an overwhelming manner. At the same time, there were many array formations in the surroundings that flickered with light, and all of them charged towards the dead soul's abyss. The dead soul's abyss roared. Were they all controlled? Who was it? He was a top-notch expert, and he instantly understood what was going on. Looking at the eyes of these people, he knew that they had been controlled by someone else and had become puppets. Since that was the case, he would not hold back. The light on his body circulated, and the injuries he suffered quickly healed. In the next moment, a shocking light burst out from his eyes. "You guys have been controlled, and you no longer belong to the undead spirit race. I'll give you a quick death." He attacked with both hands, and it was as if they had turned into two peerless blades that slashed forward. In an instant, more than a dozen figures were split in half. These people's souls were destroyed, and there was no pain. The dead soul's abyss was incomparably cold. To be honest, although these people were controlled, they were still his clansmen. Now that he had attacked and killed his own clansmen, the dead soul's abyss was incomparably furious. He must find the mastermind behind the scenes and tear him into pieces. The dead soul's abyss was really too powerful. He swept through everything alone. Although he had suffered some injuries in the process, his injuries were quickly recovering. In the end, the people of the undead spirit race and the array formations in the sky were all torn apart. The dead soul's abyss's body was stained with blood, both his and his clansmen's. His face was a little pale, but it seemed that his life was not in danger. "Damn it!" he roared at the sky. However, at this moment, the dead soul's flag in front of him erupted with light. Endless souls poured in, enveloping the dead soul's abyss. They crazily devoured the souls of the dead soul's abyss. The dead soul's abyss was heavily injured again, and he roared crazily. His soul had been wounded. He retreated, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. "Damn it, even you guys dare to attack me?" He was really angry, and an extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. Eye of the dead souls, soul snatching. His eyes turned gray, without any luster. However, they emitted an extremely terrifying soul pressure. Wherever it passed, the surrounding resentful spirits seemed to have been cut by a divine sword. They kept shattering. Those resentful spirits roared crazily, wanting to escape. However, the dead soul's abyss was truly enraged. Under this pair of eyes, everything turned to ashes. In the end, the entire palace was torn apart and shattered. Only the dead soul's abyss was still standing there, but his current situation was also very bad. Previously, he had fought with his own clansmen. It caused his body to be injured. Now that he was fighting with these resentful spirits, his soul was injured. In short, he was severely injured. The people in the distance were shocked when they saw this scene. What was going on? Was the Dead Souls Abyss crazy? They were dumbstruck that they wanted to attack their own clansmen. However, the Dead Souls Abyss roared towards the sky. Damn it, no matter who you are, I will definitely find you and tear you into pieces. The people in the distance were shocked when they heard this. Their scalps went numb. Could it be that there was still a mastermind behind this? They didn't know that the mastermind behind this matter, Lin Xian, had already left. He came to a desolate mountain range, opened up a cave, and set up an array. Then he sat down cross-legged. This time he had obtained a lot of storage rings and resources from the undead spirit race. They were all thrown into the sword world to strengthen his world. Chapter 50-35. Lin Xian comprehended. His eye technique had become even more terrifying. Then he adjusted his state to its peak and took a deep breath. His expression became extremely solemn. Next was the most important thing. He wanted to comprehend the demon summoning scripture, which was the inheritance of the great emperor. Closing his eyes, countless information appeared in Lin Xian's mind. It seemed to have turned into a black book that floated in his mind. The demon summoning scripture was created by the demon emperor. It was said that when one cultivated it to an extremely high level, one could summon the demon god from beyond the sky. It was extremely powerful. The great emperor's technique was very difficult to understand. Lin Xian had a lot of secret arts in his hands. Nine Yang divine body, immortality, seal of the fearless lion. He even had the newly obtained earth divine ability, shadowless heaven's net, and Azura sword technique. However, all of these added together were not as difficult to cultivate as the demon summoning scripture. Lin Xian silently comprehended. It had been 3 years. He finally read through the earth ancient scripture, and heaved a sigh of relief. It was too difficult. Even the great sage found it difficult to understand the ancient scripture. He wondered how terrifying a living great emperor would be. Lin Xian recalled the demon emperor he saw 100,000 years ago. That was a real great emperor. He gave him the feeling that he could kill him with a single glance. He had never felt this way before. Because his trump card was so powerful, he used to be the one who killed his enemies instantly. But now someone could kill him instantly. This feeling was 100 times more dangerous than when he saw the Dragon Prince and Kuan Pengzi. The great emperor was indeed an existence that stood at the peak. And now, Lin Xian wanted to cultivate the great emperor's absolute art inheritance. Lin Xian did not cultivate it completely. After all, he did not want to become a demon. This was different from his ultimate path. However, he could use it as a reference and even choose to cultivate it. The demon summoning scripture not only had the internal scripture, but also various absolute arts. For example, there was the demon god's eye, demon god's wings, and demon god's sword. There was even the demon god's seal and demon god's finger. There were various absolute arts. According to the ancient scripture, the most important thing was to condense the illusion of the demon god from beyond the sky. This phantom was extremely difficult to condense. However, once it was unleashed, its might would be terrifying to the extreme. Lin Xian began to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. He still did not appear and continued to cultivate in silence. Outside, the wind and clouds were changing. A new batch of geniuses had arrived in the underworld, and they had begun to rise to prominence and challenge the trials. As for the Dead Spirit clan, the Dead Spirit Abyss had also recovered from its injuries. He frantically searched for the culprit behind the scenes, but the culprit seemed to have disappeared. It did not appear again. Damn it! The Abyss of Dead Souls roared at the sky. He didn't give up and continued to send people from the undead clan to investigate. As long as he felt the power of the Song of the Dead Souls, he would attack with all his might. As for him, he had entered the 4th level of the underworld. His goal was the great emperor, and he knew that there was already an emperor in this generation. He displayed his powerful strength. If he wanted to become a great emperor, he had to defeat those princes first. Therefore, he cultivated even more crazily. He even hoped to encounter some heaven-defying fortuitous encounters in the 4th level of hell. The 7th year. In the 3rd level of hell, a figure walked out of the ruins. It was a monkey with a metal rod in his hand. The moment he came out, he roared at the sky and shattered the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The people in the 3rd level were incomparably terrified. In an instant, countless news spread rapidly. Someone had actually walked out of the Azura ruins. Heavens, who was it? What did he obtain? Did he obtain the Azura inheritance? Countless voices were heard, and countless people came to investigate. In the end, they were killed by the monkey with a large metal rod. A bunch of flies, scram for old Sun. The monkey and Yang Tian roared. He had also spent a lot of effort to walk out of the Azura ruins. After coming out, he began to search for Lin Xian's whereabouts. Brother Lin still hadn't come out? Impossible. Could it be that he was still trapped inside? The monkey came out naturally because the Azura race had something to do with time. With his current strength, he still couldn't deal with time. Therefore, he could only search outside. In the end, he still couldn't find any traces of Lin Xian. He sighed. Perhaps he had already come out. Moreover, Brother Lin had many trump cards, so it shouldn't be a problem. The monkey wasn't too sure at first, but when he met the undead race, he understood. Because the undead race had their eyes on him, and he had killed several great sage of the undead race. He also received a piece of news. He wasn't the first to be hunted down. A few years ago, there was a young man who had walked out of the Azura ruins like him. At that time, they had also chased after that young man. In fact, that young man had even destroyed a palace. After the monkey heard this, he immediately laughed. Haha, it must be Brother Lin's brother. He was happy and surprised at the same time. Lin Xian had actually come out earlier than him. This was too unbelievable. He smashed these great saints of the necromancers to death. The monkey snorted coldly. How dare you attack my brother? You must be tired of living. He also attacked aggressively and destroyed another palace. This caused a shock in the underworld. Another person dared to challenge the undead race. The undead race was going crazy. First, they were slapped in the face by a young man, and now, they were being slapped in the face by a monkey. They couldn't stand it. They summoned the Dead Soul's Abyss. These people began to summon frantically. On the 4th level of hell, the Dead Soul's Abyss returned immediately after receiving the news. When he arrived, he realized that it wasn't the person he wanted to see. It was a monkey. However, he would make the undead race regret it for daring to challenge them. Regardless of whether it was a human or a monkey, they would definitely die. Kneel down and accept your death. The Dead Soul's Abyss looked at Sun Qitian and shouted coldly. Sun Qitian sneered. You? Have a taste of my stick. He struck out and the iron staff swept across the world, as if it had turned into a peerless divine weapon. It directly enveloped the Dead Soul's Abyss. The Dead Soul's Abyss body was torn apart. The surrounding people were shocked. Wasn't he killed? That's impossible. Isn't he the #1 genius of the undead race? How could he be killed so easily? This monkey is too terrifying. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. What a weak ant. He turned around and wanted to leave. However, at the next moment, he frowned because there was a sneer in the world. I think you're the ant. I'm an immortal existence. You can't hurt me at all. Sun Qitian suddenly turned around and found that the body that had been torn apart had turned into light in the form of countless souls. Then they condensed together and became a human figure again. The undead body. Sun Qitian furrowed his brows tightly. The Dead Soul's Abyss sneered. That's right, I have the undead body. How are you going to kill me without a trace? His physique was extremely terrifying. It was the Archean physique. Therefore, this injury couldn't kill him at all. The people in the distance were shocked. As expected of the Dead Soul's Abyss, he was indeed heaven-defying. His bloodline and physique could be said to be the strongest person below the arch. Chapter 50-36. How dare you claim to be immortal? Sun Qitian sneered. Today, I, old Sun, will destroy your soul. He roared angrily and waved his iron staff again, covering the front. The body of the Dead Soul's Abyss shattered again, turning into countless cracks. Each of the fragments formed a soul, emitting a terrifying aura. Damn it, I, old Sun, will destroy you. Heaven's wrath. He roared at the sky, and a terrifying sound was heard. It was enough to shock the past and present. Retreat. The spectators in the distance retreated frantically. Those who retreated slowly were torn into pieces by the sound. Blood mist fell from the sky. The people of the Dead Souls race also knelt on the ground in horror. It was too terrifying. A roar that could destroy the world. Just what kind of divine being was this monkey? The Dead Souls abyss also roared coldly. Each of the souls he condensed was holding a scythe of death. Then they charged forward. Thousands of death scythes gathered and overlapped with each other, colliding with the terrifying sound. The confrontation between the two was earth-shattering. The spectators were dumbfounded. It was too terrifying. The Dead Souls abyss was not the number one genius. The monkey was also terrifying. The unique skills that he used were really terrifying. After one move, the two of them fought again. They either fought in close combat or from afar. All kinds of unique skills emerged. The spectators were dumbfounded. Were they really just two young people? Why did it feel like two young emperors were fighting? This was truly a fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger. Countless experts of the underworld nodded their heads as they watched this scene. They heard that there was a crown prince in St. Yuan ancient city, and the dragon prince who was eyeing them covetously. The underworld had the emperor of the underworld, but there was no son of the underworld. The Dead Souls abyss was equivalent to an uncrowned king. This title was too heavy. It was equivalent to treating the Dead Souls abyss as a crown prince. However, the other party was indeed qualified. The strength that the other party displayed was really powerful. Perhaps even a great sage in the middle stage would be torn to pieces easily. However, what was more shocking was the monkey. The Dead Souls abyss bloodline was not ordinary. That was why he was so terrifying. But what was the origin of this monkey? It was too terrifying. His chi and blood shocked the heavens and earth. The iron cudgel in his hand swept out in all directions. It was as if the great sage was an ant facing a dragon. There was no way he could resist at all. Even if it was the Dead Souls abyss, it was still being beaten up to the point where its blood was rumbling, and it was howling madly. Damn it, go to hell. The Dead Souls abyss roared angrily, and endless gray laws appeared on his body. It was as if he had transformed into the god of death as he charged forward. There were tens of thousands of scythes beside him, which turned into a terrifying light. It could take away one's life force. At this moment, everyone was looking up. I, old son, am not afraid of you. The monkey was more direct. He waved the iron cudgel in his hand as if an ancient god had come back to life. He waved his hand 9 times in a row, shattering heaven and earth in an unpredictable manner. Even lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Everyone felt their blood run cold. The entire world was shattering, turning into chaos. Martial Dao Heavenly Eye. At this moment, Sun Qitian let out a furious roar as his eyes shone with golden light. Golden flames descended, igniting the 9 heavens. The surrounding vengeful spirits screamed crazily and turned into black smoke. What is this? At this moment, everyone from the underworld felt a chill run down their spines. The other party's golden eyes and golden flames were too terrifying. It gave them a great sense of threat. It was as if it was born to restrain them. The Dead Souls abyss body was also enveloped by the golden flames and instantly burned. He screamed as half of his body turned into ashes. His eyes were filled with horror. Damn it, who are you? Who are you? He was too shocked. In the younger generation of the entire underworld, there were no more than 3 people who could compete with him. But now, there was someone who could suppress him. Moreover, he had been completely restrained by it. The other party's gaze was really terrifying. It easily pierced through his body. Damn it. The Dead Souls abyss turned around and left. There was no way to fight. The moment the martial Dao Heavenly Eye appeared, it was really too strong to restrain him. Did he escape? Countless powerhouses of the underworld looked at this scene with shock. However, they did not feel that the Dead Souls abyss had lost, because everyone felt a sense of horror. Whether it was the young geniuses or the older powerhouses, they were all looking at the monkey with awe. They even decided that if there was a chance, they would definitely kill the other party. Because this person was the nemesis of all the underworld. The monkey sneered. Want to run? Stay here for me, old son. The martial Dao Heavenly Eye attacked again, and pierced through the other party's body. Then, the iron staff swept across and directly smashed the Dead Souls abyss into pieces. The Dead Souls abyss was severely injured. His broken body turned into countless souls. They flew in all directions and finally escaped. Humph, an ant. The monkey snorted. Countless people were shocked, and there were even people who were secretly watching the monkey. But Sun Qitian was still not afraid. What happened 5 days later shocked the entire underworld. Sun Qitian was being hunted down. The one who attacked was in existence at the peak of the Great Sage. It was the top Great Sage of the undead race. He was extremely powerful. The other party had a Dead Souls pagoda. He attacked Sun Qitian aggressively. Although Sun Qitian was powerful, he was only at the early stage of the Great Sage. Facing the peak of the Great Sage, he was still injured. Even the martial Dao Heavenly Eye could not hurt the peak of the Great Sage this time. Sun Qitian could only retreat. The peak of the Great Sage wanted to completely kill Sun Qitian, but he realized that he could not do it. Damn it! In the end, Sun Qitian escaped with injuries and left a message. When I, old Sun, reach the peak, it will be the time of the undead race's destruction. As soon as these words came out, the underworld was shocked. The pupils of the undead race also shrank. The peak of the Great Sage even gave an order. Find. Even if he ran to the end of the world, he had to find him. And he swore that the next time he attacked, it would not be just a peak of the Great Sage. At least 5 peak of the Great Sage were needed to kill him. Destroy the other party's soul. It was not only the undead race. Some powerful families and sects in the underworld felt that Sun Qitian was a scourge. They were also secretly looking for him. They even formed an alliance. 10 peak of the Great Sage attacked together and swept the world. In the end, they did not find the other party. This made their faces turn ugly. Could it be that the other party had already left the underworld? Everyone's heart was heavy. If they let the other party's strength break through again in the future, he would come back and kill them. How many of them could resist him? The atmosphere of the undead race was also solemn. However, the Dead Souls Abyss said, "Humph, his eyes are too strange. Other than that, I am not afraid. As long as I find a magic treasure to block that pair of eyes, I can kill him with my sword." The undead race regained their hope. The Dead Souls Abyss was their family's hope. He would definitely become a great emperor in the future. No matter how strong the other party was, he was no match for him. Chapter 50-37. Lin Xian didn't know about all of this. At this moment, Lin Xian was still in seclusion. He had entered the sword world to cultivate the demon summoning scripture. In the blink of an eye, it was already the 10th year. Lin Xian's demon summoning scripture was only at the entry level. However, because he cultivated the demon summoning scripture, it allowed him to cultivate Shadowless Heaven's Net and Shura sword even faster. The Shura sword art was already able to unleash the third sword. The Shadowless Heaven's Net movement technique had become even more unpredictable than before. In addition, there was another ability in the demon summoning scripture, which was the Wings of the Demon God. Although they were both movement techniques, the two were different. The Shadowless Heaven's Net was equivalent to dodging quickly within a certain range. As for the Wings of the Demon God, it was extremely fast when flying in a straight line. Both had their own strengths. In addition to the Wings of the Demon God, there was also the Seal of the Demon God. It could transform into a large seal, which was a powerful attack. The Song of the Demon God. It was different from the previous Song of the Dead. The Song of the Dead was equivalent to a mark, which was used to chase after the enemy. However, the Song of the Demon God was an attack. Soul attack. When the song was played, the soul would instantly collapse. At that time, when combined with Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes, the power would increase by several times. Other than that, there were also many divine abilities. As expected of the inheritance of the great emperor, it was really too powerful. Now Lin Xian could finally experience the terror of those emperors. Even if a great emperor died, he could still preserve his family for tens of millions of years. It had been 10 years, it was time to go out and take a look. Lin Xian's current strength had increased by leaps and bounds. He was much stronger than before. Moreover, he didn't know what was going on outside. He would look for Monkey King and see the other situations in hell. If there was nothing special, Lin Xian was prepared to return to Holy Distant Ancient City. After all, his goal was the Dragon Prince. Thinking of this, Lin Xian walked out. At the same time, the underworld had changed in the past 10 years, especially the 18 levels of hell. There was also a new batch of cultivators. The first level of the underworld, Mirage. At this moment, another batch of people had recruited another batch of cultivators. Their catoptric deflection was even stronger than before. It could be said that there were not many sects on the first level that could contend against them. Even now, catoptric deflection was preparing to enter the second level and develop his own forces there. In the catoptric deflection, a few figures were chatting beside the lake. One of them said, "Have you heard? The monkey that had swept through the undead spirit race and even severely injured the dead spirit abyss. It has something to do with our illusionary flower, Moon Clan." Really? That monkey was too heaven-defying. He definitely had the talent of a young great emperor. It was no wonder that the Dead Soul's abyss was defeated by him. There are also people who say that the monkey's martial Dao heavenly eye is too terrifying and is specifically used to restrain people from the underworld. Otherwise, the Dead Soul's abyss would not have been defeated so thoroughly. They might even win. Voices sounded one after another. However, at this moment, a big man walked over and said with a smile, "What do you know?" Before that monkey, there was another person who had swept through the palace of the undead spirit clan. "That's a member of our illusionary flowers," reflected Moon. "What? Our catoptric deflection actually has such an awesome person?" When the others heard this, they were extremely shocked. They had just joined a few years ago, so they didn't know what had happened before. And this big man was the one who had followed Nero, Lin Xian, and the others to carry out the mission together. Therefore, he had naturally seen Lin Xian and knew that Lin Xian had saved the Monkey King. The big man said, "Not only that. Do you know that monkey? She was saved by the people from the illusionary flowers, water and moon. Which great god is it?" Many people were shocked. The big man said with a smile, "His name was Lin Wudi." Next, the big man told them what had happened back then. Although he only gave a rough description, the people around him were extremely shocked after hearing it. "Oh God, Lin Wudi is actually so powerful. Do you think these two people are the Emperor's sons?" Someone asked. The big man said that he didn't know. Even if they weren't the Emperor's sons, they were geniuses who weren't far off. In the future, they were destined to stand at the peak of the universe. Standing at the peak? With just the two of them? They were destined to go to the 18th level of hell. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. The people of the illusionary realm were stunned. Many people's faces darkened. Because according to the big man, Lin Wudi was a member of the illusionary realm. Now that someone was looking down on Lin Wudi, they were looking down on the illusionary realm. In an instant, they were furious. "Who are you? Get out here." "That's right, who are you? How dare you look down on the people of the illusionary realm? Why can't young Master Lin and the Monkey King stand at the peak of the world? What is the illusionary realm? I can destroy it with one hand. Damn it, how dare you look down on the illusionary realm?" The saints were instantly enraged. They had already joined the illusionary realm, so they naturally had to protect the reputation of their sect. Therefore, at this moment, when they heard the words of the person in front of them, their killing intent instantly surged. One after another, extremely terrifying laws swept between heaven and earth. "How dare you ants make a move against me?" The mysterious figure in front of them curled the corners of his mouth into a disdainful smile. "The founder of the illusionary realm couldn't even block 3 of my moves back then. Do you think that ants like you can block a single finger of mine? It's as easy as flipping my hand if I want to kill you. How is that possible?" The surrounding members were all stunned. The founder of the illusionary realm couldn't block 3 moves from the other party? What a joke. Although they hadn't seen their founder yet, to be able to create the illusionary realm, he was definitely an extremely terrifying expert. The burly man from before furrowed his brows tightly. The person in front of him didn't seem to be lying. Could it be that he was really an extremely terrifying existence? The mysterious figure in front of them ignored the saints. Instead, he looked at the lake further away. He said, "This is the territory of the illusionary realm, right?" There was an extremely terrifying array around it. He walked to the left, and with one step he instantly surpassed the surrounding saints. He came to the top of the lake. He looked around. Not bad. It seemed that the power of the array had increased over the years. When the surrounding saints saw this scene, they all frowned. Someone sneered. "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to attack our illusionary realm? Don't joke around. Our array is not something that you can resist." Before they could finish speaking, they were all stunned. The mysterious man in front of them stretched out a finger and gently waved it. The surrounding array kept shattering. The entire lake was split in half by him. How was that possible? The people of the illusionary realm widened their eyes in disbelief. If they didn't have a token, they wouldn't be able to enter these arrays at all. Even great sages would be killed in body and soul. But now the other party had easily broken through. Chapter 50:38. Under this finger, the entire lake was split in half. Inside the lake, the people of the illusionary flowers, water and moon were even more shocked. They felt that their surroundings were shaking. Endless power surged down, and there was even the sound of the array shattering. Damn it, what happened? Someone was attacking them. Illusionary flowers, water and moon? Who was it? Was it a powerhouse from the second level? Go out and take a look. For a moment, many powerhouses rushed out and shouted angrily. However, when they saw a Taoist on the lake, they were all stunned when he used a finger to shatter the surroundings. Heavens, what kind of person was this? His strength was simply too strong. Nero also rushed out. When she saw the figure in front of her, her pupils suddenly shrank. "Abyss of dead souls, you actually came here?" As soon as these words came out, the others were also stunned. Abyss of dead souls. This name was like thunder to their ears. This was the #1 genius of the undead clan. In the underworld, he could be ranked in the top 5. His strength was definitely terrifying. It was just that they had never seen him before. They didn't expect that the mysterious man in front of them was actually Abyss of dead souls. No wonder he was so terrifying. He did have such strength. Nero's expression became incomparably ugly. What was he doing here? She didn't know, but she knew that with their strength, they couldn't resist at all. This matter could only be reported to the leader of the illusionary flowers, water and moon. In fact, there was no need for them to say anything. A mirror flew out from inside. The mirror was incomparably simple. In the sky, a pair of eyes appeared. He stared at the front and asked, "Abyss of dead souls, has our illusionary flowers, water and moon offended you? Why are you here?" A biting cold murderous intent appeared in Abyss of dead souls' eyes. "The monkey who came to my undead clan before is related to your illusionary flowers, water and moon, right? Do you know where he is? Also, the man who destroyed my palace earlier is called Lin Wudi. He seems to be from your illusionary flowers, water and moon. Tell him to come out and die." "I don't know the monkey you're talking about. As for Lin Wudi, he is indeed from our illusionary flowers, water and moon. However, since he joined our illusionary flowers, there has been no trace of him for 10 years. We don't know where he is. Perhaps he has already left the underworld." "Left?" The dead soul's Abyss snorted coldly. With a stomp of his foot, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The entire lake below instantly turned into a black hole of nothingness. The pupils of the surrounding people shrank. The cold voice of the dead spirit's Abyss rang out. "Lin Wudi dares to go against my dead spirit clan. He will die without a doubt. Not only that, all his friends who were related to him would go to hell. Who among you has a good relationship with him?" The cold gaze of the dead soul's Abyss swept over. It was like a sharp heavenly blade. Wherever it passed, the sages of the catoptric deflection coughed up mouthfuls of blood. He kept retreating. Some of them even had their bodies shattered. They lowered their heads deeply, and no one dared to resist. The other party's gaze was too strong. Just one look was enough to kill them. Nero's expression turned ugly, because in the entire catoptric deflection, only she and Lin Xian had a special relationship. Although it was said to be extraordinary, the truth was that they had only formed a team together to explore the 3rd level of hell. Even so, it still attracted the attention of countless people. The dead soul's Abyss also turned his head, stared at Nero, and said with a frown, "You're Lin Wudi's friend? As soon as these words came out, everyone's heart trembled. They looked at Nero with sympathy in their eyes. They knew that Nero was finished. Nero took a deep breath and said with gritted teeth, "I'm not his friend, but I've experienced life and death battles with him." Nero's voice was sonorous. The Dead Soul's Abyss laughed. "Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you?" Nero said, "I'm telling the truth. You can kill me, but you can't make me submit. I belong to the Bridge of Helplessness." Bridge of Helplessness, I'm really surprised that there's a woman like you. I admire you very much. Under other circumstances, I might have asked you to consider following me. I'll let you enjoy a lifetime of glory and wealth. Unfortunately, you know Lin Wudi, and you have a special relationship with him. In that case, don't blame me for making a move." The Dead Soul's Abyss raised a finger and pointed forward. The faces of the surrounding people became extremely pale. Nero even shouted angrily. She waved her hand and threw out a bridge of helplessness. She stood on the bridge, surrounded by an endless abyss. He tried to resist. However, he couldn't stop it at all. The endless laws in Nero's hand condensed and formed a rune. She waved it forward. It shattered the bridge of helplessness in an instant. It pointed between Nero's eyebrows. A gray rune instantly formed between her eyebrows. It carried an extremely strong aura. Nero's face instantly became incomparably pale. She felt that her life was rapidly disappearing. "This is the soul-seizing rune, the ultimate skill of my Dead Soul clan. If you're hit by it, your life will quickly disappear. It won't be long before you become an old woman. In the end, you will die in despair." Everyone's scalps went numb when they heard this. To be honest, with the Dead Soul's Abyss's methods killing Nero, it couldn't be any simpler. It could be said that he could kill her in an instant. However, the other party didn't do so. The other party's methods were obviously torture, turning a beautiful fairy into an ugly existence. Moreover, the daily torture of her soul and the disappearance of her life could be said to be more desperate than death. Nero was in despair. She realized that she couldn't resist this power at all. The scalps of the surrounding people also went numb. At this moment, the Dead Soul's Abyss attacked again. A gray flag appeared in his hand and danced wildly. Endless resentful spirits flew out and attacked the surrounding saints. The entire catoptric deflection was enveloped. The next moment, they felt their souls split open as if they were about to be torn apart. Even that simple and unadorned mirror had lost its luster. The Dead Soul's Abyss said, "From now on, each of you will suffer the pain of your soul being torn apart. Until death. During this period, no one can relieve your pain. Besides me, there is one more person, and that is Lin Wudi. As long as he appears, I can spare you. Otherwise, you can wait for death in despair. Go find Lin Wudi and tell him that I'm waiting for him in hell." The Dead Soul's Abyss sneered and left. Since Lin Wudi was a member of the catoptric deflection, these people must have a way to contact him. When the other party appeared, he would kill him with his own hands. The Dead Soul's Abyss left. The people of the catoptric deflection were in despair. They let out painful screams. Nero's body also shook. A demonic black flower appeared on the mirror of the leader of the catoptric deflection. She let out a crazy roar. "Hurry up and contact Lin Wudi." Chapter 5039. This news also spread quickly. Everyone was shocked. It seemed that the Dead Soul's Abyss was going to make a move again. If they couldn't find that monkey, they would probably find Lin Wudi. They didn't know much about Lin Wudi. They only knew that the other party was from the catoptric deflection, and he was the one who destroyed the undead clan's palace for the first time. Although it was shocking, compared to the Dead Soul's Abyss, it was still too far away. The Dead Soul's Abyss was the top genius in the underworld. His strength was unparalleled. Everyone even regarded him as a young great emperor. Who could fight against such a person? Although he lost to the monkey last time, everyone thought that it was just an accident. Because the monkey's eyes restrained the entire underworld, the Dead Soul's Abyss was not considered defeated. And in these few years, the other party must have found a way to resist that pair of eyes. This time, even if he met the monkey again, he probably wouldn't lose again. As for this Lin Wudi, everyone wasn't optimistic. Not only that, this time, the undead clan seemed to want to thoroughly wipe away their previous shame. Last time, they had been defeated and their temporary residence had been destroyed. This had caused them to lose all face and prestige. This time, they were here to re-establish their reputation. Therefore, apart from the Dead Soul's abyss, they also pushed out a top genius, Phantom, a woman, the younger sister of the Dead Soul's abyss. Her talent was also very strong. At this moment, the Phantom came to the underworld and began to challenge these powerhouses in the underworld. She even began to sweep the top geniuses of other families. All of a sudden, all kinds of news spread out. The genius of Slaughter Temple was defeated in 3 moves by the Phantom. The people of Bloodfiend sect were defeated in 5 moves. Those powerhouses of the underworld also couldn't withstand 10 moves. Countless people were shocked. How could this woman be so powerful? She was a soul illusion, and her attack was too strong. A pair of eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. No one was his match. Exclamations sounded one after another. In a short period of time, Phantom had emerged as a new force to be reckoned with, which shocked everyone. At the same time, they also knew that the undead clan was too strong. Although they suffered a loss before, the appearance this time showed that the other party's foundation was very strong. Apart from the number 1 genius of the other party, the other geniuses were also very terrifying. For a moment, the people of the underworld were terrified. They swore that they would never be enemies with the undead clan again. At the same time, they began to worry about catoptric deflection, and even Lin Xian. Even the younger sister of the Dead Soul's abyss was so terrifying. Then how terrifying was the Death Soul abyss? Most likely, if he were to make a move, all the geniuses would be insta-killed. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Over the past month, countless messages are flying. Those people had endured a month of pain. During this month, their souls had been devoured every moment of every day. They all had to endure that kind of torment, especially Nero. She was once a beautiful woman, but at this moment, she seemed to have turned into a skeleton. She did not even have a proper appearance. The demonic mirror roared madly. Lin Wudy hasn't been contacted yet? Is he not here yet? Some people are desperate. Yes, they had already contacted him. However, he had probably received the news long ago. Knowing that the Dead Soul's abyss wanted to kill him, he had probably fled long ago. Yes, we have been contacting him every day for the past month. They had arrived a long time ago. Now that he has not come, it means that the other party is afraid. The other party is not a match for the Dead Soul's abyss at all. The other party has run away, but we have to endure despair. Not only them, but everyone was paying attention. For the past month, Lin Wudy's figure had not appeared at all. Some people sneered. What Lin Wudy? He was too arrogant. He dared to call himself invincible? That's right, he didn't even dare to come out now. How could he fight against the Dead Soul's abyss? What a joke. He was no match for them at all. The people of the undead clan snorted coldly. That Lin Wudy used despicable means to destroy our palace. We were careless. If we fought head-on, he was no match for us at all. Come out if you have the guts. We can kill him with a slap. The Phantom also spoke. My brother doesn't need to make a move. My eyes can kill him instantly. One voice after another sounded. At this moment, the reputation of the undead clan reached its peak. Everyone had to look up to them. At this moment, Lin Xian was still on the 3rd level of the underworld. He had just cultivated the demon summoning scripture. After coming out, he naturally had to show its power. At this moment, he came to an ancient tomb. There was an extremely terrifying existence in the ancient tomb. A skeleton flew out. It had the cultivation of the great sage. The skeleton stretched out its claws, covering the sky and the earth. It seemed to want to tear everything apart. Lin Xian slapped out with his palm. Demon God Seal. He drew a huge seal with his palm and blasted it forward. A casual blow shattered heaven and earth. In front of him, the skeleton of the great sage was instantly torn apart. It couldn't withstand it at all. Its body and soul were destroyed. Lin Xian retracted his palm, and the corners of his mouth raised. Too powerful. Previously he was very strong. However, if he wanted to kill a person of the great sage without using his trump card, He had to go all out. But now he only needed one move to kill a great sage. His strength was 10 times stronger than before. As expected of the great emperor's ancient scripture, it was really terrifying. He had only cultivated it for 10 years. If he cultivated it for a longer time, then his power could increase again. He would try other supernatural powers. Lin Xian had cultivated more than one supernatural power in the demon summoning scripture. At this moment he wanted to try them one by one. Demon God wings. At this moment, a pair of black wings appeared on his back and gently flapped. He instantly disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in an endless distance. So fast. Lin Xian was surprised. He had cultivated the shadowless heavens net before, but the straight-line distance of the shadowless heavens net couldn't compare to the demon god wings. Of course, it didn't mean that the shadowless heavens net was useless. After all, the shadowless heavens net was also a great emperor's supernatural power. The effect of the shadowless heavens net was better. That kind of elusive movement technique could immediately make the enemy collapse. Just like that, Lin Xian began to display the various martial arts he cultivated on the 3rd level. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. During this month, the people on the 1st level of the underworld were in an uproar. They had even learned that the illusionary flower, Water Moon, had suffered a desperate blow because of Lin Wudi. The illusionary flower, Water Moon, was really unlucky to have something to do with Lin Wudi. It was said that they had to endure the pain of their souls every day. Someone sneered. Not only that, it was said that the beautiful fairy of the underworld had become like a skeleton. This was even worse than killing her. That Lin Wudi still didn't dare to come out? Coward. What right did he have to call himself invincible? One after another, cold shouts could be heard. A month later, on the 3rd level of the underworld, Lin Xian retracted his palm. Around him, a cave abode was directly shattered. It was split open by his sword. There were a few mid-stage great sage inside, but all of them had fallen. Who was this person? He was too strong. On the 3rd level of the underworld, there were also some explorers at this moment. When they saw this scene, they were incomparably terrified. If it weren't for the fact that the Death Soul's abyss was still on the 1st level, they would have thought that the other party had come. Who was this person? The demonic chi on his body was so terrifying. Chapter 50-40. At this moment, Lin Xian took out the demonic flower. It was a black flower. It was the keepsake given to him by the illusionary flower, Water and Moon. It was also a symbol of his status in the illusionary flower, Water and Moon. Previously, he had ignored it after he came out because he didn't have time. Now he finally had some free time. After he took it out, countless messages came from inside. They were all summoning him. Was there a problem with the illusionary flower, Water and Moon? Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't think too much about it. At this moment, his figure flickered and flew into the distance. When he joined the illusionary flower, Water and Moon, he already knew that there were some difficult missions that required everyone to do together. Perhaps this time, the illusionary flower, Water and Moon summoned him for a certain mission. A pair of black wings spread out on his back and swayed gently. Lin Xian turned into a black bolt of lightning and streaked through the void. On the 3rd level of the underworld, some people were terrified. Some great sage and even existences of the great sage realm narrowed their eyes. What was that just now? Did you see it? Why did I feel that a black bolt of lightning flashed past? Was it a human? Impossible. Who could be so fast? This speed had already exceeded their understanding. Lin Xian used the demon god's wings. Not long after, he arrived at the exit of the 3rd level. Soon he went out. He entered the 2nd level. The people on the 2nd level were also shocked. On this day, they saw a bolt of lightning flash past. They could only see an afterimage. When they looked carefully, it had already disappeared. Who was it? Had a peerless expert come? On the 1st level of the underworld. Catoptric deflection. Those people were already in despair. They no longer had any hope for Lin Wudi. However, on this day a figure descended. What's going on? Are you guys under attack? A faint voice sounded. Those people in the illusionary flower, water and moon suddenly raised their heads. They saw a man in a black robe walking over. This man was tall and straight, his face was handsome, and his eyes were deep and bottomless. Who was this person? Many people were puzzled. They had never seen him before. However, some people's pupils shrank. "You're here." The burly man roared, "Lin Wudi, you finally appeared." As soon as these words were said, the surrounding people were stunned. What? Lin Wudi? He was actually Lin Wudi. Countless people were shocked, feeling that this was inconceivable. Nero stared ahead as tears flowed from her eyes. At this moment, her beautiful features were no longer there. She looked like a skeleton, but she seemed to see hope. Lin Xian had created many kinds of records. Back then, Lin Xian had entered Azura's ruins. That was a land of death, and no one had ever come out of it successfully. However, Lin Xian did it. This time, would Lin Xian be able to survive the crisis before him? He didn't know, but he decided to trust the other party. The mirror was also stunned. Inside there was a pair of eyes and a black flower that kept spinning. It was also shocking to the extreme. The reason for that was because he was able to sense that although Lin Xian's appearance had not changed, the aura he emitted had become even more profound. It was as if the other party was an ancient demonic beast that could erupt with boundless power at any time. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. He could see that the souls of the people around him had been severely damaged. There was a force that was devouring their souls, especially when he saw a figure with white hair and a skeletal face. His pupils constricted violently. If he wasn't wrong, this should be Nero. The previous Nero was a beautiful woman who could turn the world upside down. But now she had turned into a skeleton. Who was it? How could they do such a vicious thing? Lin Xian was instantly furious. Nero had gone through some battles and missions with him before. She could be considered his friend. But now someone was treating her like this. What was going on? Lin Xian frowned and asked. At this moment, the burly man from before told him what had happened. Lin Xian was also furious. It was the Death Souls Abyss who had done it. He had heard of the name Death Souls Abyss more than once. He knew that it was the #1 genius of the Necromancer clan, but he had never seen it before. 10 years ago, he had even set up a trap to trick the other party. But thinking about it, that trap didn't cause much damage to the other party. But what happened later surprised Lin Xian. It turned out that Monkey King had already appeared, and he had fought with the Death Souls Abyss once and injured it. Later, the great sage of the Necromancer clan took Sun Qitian away with a super sacred weapon. Monkey King should have left the underworld. Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief, but then his face darkened again. The Necromancer clan couldn't find Sun Qitian, so they came to find him. Did they want to kill him to make a name for themselves? Was he, Lin Xian, a pushover? His eyes were emitting an extremely terrifying killing intent. Death Souls Abyss, was it? You want to fight with me? As you wish. Lin Xian's eyes were emitting a golden light. He said, "Don't worry, the torture you suffered was caused by me. I will heal you, and I will kill the Death Souls Abyss." The golden flames in his eyes flew in all directions, piercing through heaven and earth. When those resentful spirits saw the flames, they immediately roared crazily and wanted to escape, but they were burned to ashes in an instant. The people in the catoptric deflection were all stunned. They felt that the power that tortured their souls had disappeared. God, what kind of power was this? They looked at Lin Xian in shock. Previously, they had blamed Lin Xian and even hated Lin Xian. But now all those feelings were gone. They were in awe and fear, especially when they knew that the Death Souls Abyss was injured by a pair of golden eyes. Now Lin Xian also had golden eyes. God, could it be that his eyes and the monkey's were the same kind of supernatural power? They were shocked. Lin Xian used the heavenly secret godly eyes and the fire of reincarnation to save these people. Then he stared at Nero and said, "Don't worry, I will restore your appearance." The people around Nero were in trouble. Those people's souls were only devoured by the resentful spirits. He only needed to kill the resentful spirits. But Nero was different. Nero's power was similar to a curse. Not only did it hurt the soul, but it also left the vitality in the body. This method was indeed vicious. In Nero's case, Even the people in the catoptric deflection couldn't break it. But for Lin Xian, it wasn't a problem at all. No matter what happens next, don't resist. Lin Xian looked at Nero and said in a deep voice. Nero nodded, tears flowing out of her eyes. Lin Xian waved his hand, and a dragon-shaped sword energy appeared in his palm, and came to his fingertip. He pointed at Nero's forehead. Nero's body shook, and pain appeared on her face. The black talisman on her forehead seemed to have drawn a ghost head, and it bared its fangs and claws to bite. But in an instant it was pierced by Lin Xian's finger. The great dragon sword soul's indestructible power split the black ghost head apart. The talisman also dimmed and cracked from the middle. Lin Xian's 5 fingers stretched out, and his entire palm turned into a dragon head, grabbing at the other party. Chapter 50-41. After the Black Phantom was pulled out, Nero felt that her life was no longer flowing away. He looked ahead in horror. The Black Phantom bared its fangs and brandished its claws, pouncing on Lin Xian like a demon. Oh no! Nero cried out in alarm. The other's pupils also constricted. This thing had tortured Nero for a long time. If it enveloped Lin Xian now, Lin Xian would probably be tortured too. Lin Xian shouted coldly. Such a thing could not enter his body at all. He activated the 9-yang divine body, which shone like the sun. When the Black Phantom touched the divine fire, it burned. He let out a miserable cry. Looking at the flame, his expression became terrified. Even Nero and the others from the catoptric deflection felt their scalps go numb. What was this flame? It seemed to be a natural counter to them. Why would such a person come to the underworld with the power of the heavens and the power of the sun? They cried out in alarm. Now they knew that Lin Xian might not be from the underworld at all, but from another starry sky. The 9-yang divine fire burned fiercely, turning into a sun that kept crushing the phantom. The Black Phantom burned directly into the Black Phantom, and turned into nothingness. Next, Lin Xian looked ahead. He used the immortal indestructible technique to form the immortal battle armor, and enveloped Nero. Nero felt a strong vitality surge into his body. His withered body, which had turned into a skeleton, began to recover rapidly. The surrounding people also widened their eyes in disbelief. Not long after, about half an hour, Nero, a skeleton, turned into a beautiful woman. Although her face was a little pale, she had almost recovered. Lin Xian said as he put away the immortal battle armor. There should be no problem, right? Nero took out a mirror and looked at herself carefully. She found that her face had returned to normal. She was so excited that she was about to cry. Thank you, young Master Lin. She looked at Lin Xian with endless gratitude, wishing that she could repay him with her body. Lin Xian said, most of your vitality has returned, but you are still a little weak. Eat some medicinal pills and natural treasures to recover on your own. As for thanks, there was no need for that. This happened because of me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been tortured like this. Therefore, it is only right for me to save you. And that dead soul's abyss, I won't let it go either. I will let him know what regret is. Tell him that I'll be waiting for him at the flaming battlefield in 10 days. In the first layer of the infernal realm, there was a land of flames. Moreover, it was an ancient battlefield. It was called the Scarlet Flame Battlefield. He had been there before, and it was very suitable for this battle. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to fight to the death there. Nero took a deep breath. The others were also shocked. Were they really going to make a move? From the looks of it, Lin Wuti did not seem to be afraid of the Death Soul's abyss at all. She said, young Master Lin, you have to be careful. The Death Soul's abyss is extremely powerful, and is known as the Uncrowned King. He was no weaker than the Crown Prince. Some people even said that he would definitely become a true great emperor. No matter how strong he was not an imperial prince. Therefore he was not afraid. Lin Xian was going to challenge the Dragon Prince, so he planned to start with the Death Soul's abyss. He wanted to test his strength. The Death Soul's abyss should be second only to the Crown Prince. In fact, he was already capable of contending with the Crown Prince. Thus, he was the perfect opponent for the Crown Prince. Okay, I see. Nero and the others nodded, and then quickly spread the news. In an instant, The news spread throughout the first layer of the infernal realm. It swept out in all directions. Soon, the people on the second and third layers of the infernal realm knew. Not only the infernal realm, but also the whole infernal realm knew. Countless experts of the sects and families in the infernal realm were shocked. 10 days later, at the flaming battlefield. Let's go. I must go and watch the battle. I want to see how strong the Death Soul's abyss is. I also want to see if Lin Wuti has the right to be so arrogant. He dares to fight to the death with the Death Soul's abyss. Discussions were heard one after another. Everyone was rushing to the flaming battlefield. The flaming battlefield. This was an ancient battlefield. The great earth here was covered in cracks, the surface extremely high temperature. There were flames burning in the surroundings and in the air. After entering, the weak ones would be easily burned to ashes. Countless people had already returned to the battlefield. Most people were watching from outside the flaming battlefield. After all, the temperature inside was too high. At this moment, Linglong Shui also came. Hanya also came. They looked at each other. Linglong Shui walked over and said, "Have you heard? The Death Soul's abyss and Lin Wuti are fighting. Do you think it's him?" Hanya took a deep breath. Is it Master Lin? One had to know that they had previously recruited a top-notch genius called Lin Wuti. But was this Lin Wuti the one who challenged the Death Soul's abyss? He was not sure. Hanya said, they should have the same name. No matter how strong Master Lin was, it would be difficult for him to resist the attack of the Death Soul's abyss. He might not even be able to make one move. Linglong Shui sighed. Yes, he's really too strong. He's stronger than us. How many people can compete with him? There were no more than 5 people in the younger generation who could contend with him. At this moment, a deep voice was heard. Linglong Shui turned around. Is father here too? She saw the Blood Fiend Saint walk over. Beside him, Hanya bowed. Greetings, Saint. The Blood Fiend Saint looked at Hanya and said, Your father didn't come. Before Hanya could answer, laughter came from afar. How could I not come? The Soul Saint also came. He floated over. Countless people bowed. The two great sage came together. It seemed that everyone was looking forward to this battle. Are you talking about that kid? The Blood Fiend Saint asked. The Soul Saint was shocked. Impossible. That kid isn't even a great sage. I know the Death Soul's abyss's strength. He even dared to challenge a saint. He's definitely powerful. Even the two great sage didn't believe that Lin Wuti was the person they knew. At this moment, Hanya said, Let's wait and see. It won't take long. That Lin Wuti will come. At that time, we'll know whether it's him or not. A few people nodded. They occupied a good spot and prepared to watch. Then more and more people came. At this moment, a terrifying killing intent appeared between heaven and earth. It made everyone's scalp go numb. Even the Blood Fiend Saint and the Soul Saint looked at each other. Is he here too? They thought of someone. At this moment, a figure walked over from the battlefield. It was the Death Soul's abyss. He stood there, surrounded by countless large flags that froze heaven and earth. The flames on the flaming battlefield couldn't hurt him at all. The surrounding people were shocked to see this. The Death Soul's abyss was indeed powerful. Chapter 50-42. The Dead Soul's abyss stood in the flaming battlefield, and his eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the world. He said coldly, Since you're here, come out, Emo Qiansha. Hearing this, the others were also shocked. Emo Qiansha was also here? He was the top genius assassin of San Saint Hall. In the next moment, the void fluctuated and a figure appeared. Countless people were terrified, and even those of the older generation were frowning. So terrifying. He had already practiced shadowless skies, net to an extremely high level. I couldn't even tell when he arrived. If he hadn't deliberately released his killing intent, we wouldn't have known who killed us even if we were killed. Voices rang out one after another. Emo Qiansha stood in the void and looked down as he said, It seems that no matter how hard I cultivate, I can't hide from you. The Dead Soul's abyss said, You're already very powerful. Apart from me, there are no more than 5 people in the younger generation who can resist your assassination. This was already an extremely high evaluation. The surrounding people were shocked. These two young geniuses were enough to sweep through everything. Even those of the older generation were ashamed of their inferiority. At this moment, the Dead Soul's Abyss waved his hand and said, "Linger, come here." In the distance, another figure walked over. It was a woman. She looked ordinary, but no one dared to look down on her, especially her eyes, which were strange and terrifying. One look at them would make one's scalp tingle. She should be the younger sister of the Dead Soul's Abyss, called Huan Ling. Mo Qiansha was also shocked when he saw her eyes. What a terrifying pair of eyes. She should be cultivating the fantasy world spirit eyes. The Dead Soul's Abyss nodded. Yes, it's this kind of eye technique, Mo Qiansha said. It seems that there's one more person alive, a powerful enemy. My shadowless sky's net is in her eyes and I might not be able to dodge it completely. She might be able to easily locate me. Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. How could this woman's eyes be so terrifying? Shadowless sky's net was a divine ability of a great emperor. Apart from Mo Qiansha, more people came, such as the top geniuses of the Bridge of Helplessness. The top experts of Granny Meng's faction, and the 10 Kings of Hell also came. These were the top geniuses of the younger generation. Each of them stood there like a demon god. With all these people gathered together, countless people felt immense pressure. They knew that the world would belong to these people in the future. Even Shui Linglong, Hunya, and the others felt an enormous pressure as they chatted together. Although they were strong, compared to those geniuses in front of them, they were still a little lacking. They belonged to the second tier. As for the people at the front, they were all at the very top. The Death Soul Abyss was even above these top geniuses. Thus, defeating him or even challenging him was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. About half a day later, someone suddenly came from afar. Some people stopped talking because they realized that the people who had come were from the illusionary flowers, reflected moon. Many people looked over, and then their pupils constricted. Were these people already healed? After all, they knew that they had been tortured for the past few months. Every single one of them was severely injured, and it was a fate worse than death. But now, all of them had recovered, and they were all in high spirits. Who was it? What kind of method? Let these people recover? Could it really be Lin Wudi? Countless people were puzzled. Nero also came. She said loudly, "Lin Wudi will be here soon." Hearing this, the surrounding people quieted down. Lin Wudi was really coming. Countless people looked into the distance. Shui Linglong, Hunya, and even the two great sage monarchs looked through the world. They wanted to know if Lin Wudi was the person they knew. In the next moment, they saw a man with demon chi walking over. This person was like a real demon god that had awakened. He walked very slowly, but in the blink of an eye, he arrived at the battlefield. His power instantly tore the flames of the flaming battlefield apart. This person's aura was so terrifying. Countless people were shocked. It was the first time for many people to see him. Was he Lin Wudi? His demon chi was so strong. Was he from the demon realm? One after another, discussions broke out. Shui Linglong frowned. I don't remember young Master Lin having such a terrifying demon chi. Could it be that he had been hiding it before? Hunya also said he wasn't sure. He turned to the person next to him and said, "Father, what do you think?" Soul Sage Monarch used his soul to examine him. He said, "Judging from his face, he should be the young Master Lin we know. But his aura seems to be different from before. So I'm not sure." He really wasn't sure. It was only 10 years. Logically speaking, it was difficult to change a person's aura. But now this person's demon chi was too shocking. Of course, he didn't know that Lin Xian had been cultivating the ancient scripture of earth for the past 10 years, so he naturally had a monstrous demon chi. The top geniuses in front of them all turned their heads. Countless gazes pierced the sky. The void around Lin Xian kept shattering. Lin Xian, on the other hand, simply stood there unmoved. These top geniuses were powerful. With so many gazes, it was terrifying. But why would Lin Xian be afraid? An even more terrifying aura appeared in his eyes. Their gazes collided. Heaven and earth cracked. A bottomless abyss appeared in front of them. "Everyone, this is my battle with him. Please stand aside and watch." Death Soul's Abyss walked over and said in a deep voice. The other top geniuses all retreated. Only 2 figures were left on the battlefield. Are you Lin Wuti, the one who destroyed the palace of our undead clan? Death Soul's Abyss said in a deep voice. His voice almost extinguished the flames on the flaming battlefield. Yes, I am. Your undead clan deserves to die. Not only did you want to kill me, but you also attacked my friends. I won't let you off. If you have any last words, leave them. After speaking, Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a terrifying killing intent. The surrounding demon chi was monstrous, as if it had turned into a roaring demon dragon. The flaming battlefield kept shaking. It couldn't withstand this power. The demon chi rushed forward, turned into a demon sword, and pierced the sky. It slashed toward Death Soul's Abyss. Death Soul's Melody's face darkened. He shouted coldly and kicked. A huge soul phantom appeared, blotting out the sky. To fight against it, the 2 sides collided. Countless cracks appeared on the ground and spread in all directions. The surrounding people kept retreating, exclaiming in surprise. What a terrifying power! After blocking the demonic chi that filled the sky, the abyss of dead souls waved its hand and tore the void apart. He said, You have some strength. No wonder you dare to return to my palace. Chapter 50-43. Death Soul's Abyss's eyes shone brightly. He found that his opponent was a worthy opponent. His 10 years of searching for him had not been in vain. Take this. Death Soul's Abyss waved his hand and slapped out. The gray palm was shattered. The flames on the flaming battlefield formed a space zone. This palm was too terrifying. Even the people in the distance could feel the immense pressure. Their scalps went numb. They knew that even if the great sage was in the intermediate stage, he would be torn apart in an instant. Lin Xian snorted coldly and struck out with the 6-path fist. It was unstoppable and invincible. His will was so powerful that it seemed to be able to penetrate the universe. Boom, boom. Their attacks collided and burst out with dazzling divine light like lightning. The entire battlefield was completely lit up. The spectators were terrified, especially the young geniuses. They felt despair. It was their sorrow to be in the same era as such people. The older generation figures also shook their heads and sighed in their inferiority. They realized that these 2 young people had already surpassed them. Now the world was theirs. After one strike, their divine powers were all shattered. They were evenly matched. You're capable enough to resist my move. You'll die if you take my next move. Death Soul's Abyss laughed. He waved his hand and struck out another attack. It was a large flag fluttering in the wind. He slashed down and split the world in half. This was not an ordinary attack. Not only was it powerful, but it also contained endless resentful spirits. Their crazy roars could affect the soul of a sage. If the great sage was careless, his soul would be torn to pieces in an instant. Lin Xian was also surprised. Death Soul's Abyss's strength was beyond his imagination. Death Soul's Abyss was worthy of being called a top genius. He deserved to go all out. He took a deep breath and slashed out with his sword. Black Devil Chi quickly condensed and formed a sword of law. He held it in his hand. The power of the great dragon sword soul gushed out, and was invincible. He slashed out with his sword. The entire battlefield shook and was split in half. This sword seemed to be able to destroy the world. This time, even Death Soul's Abyss's expression changed. The power of this sword was too strong, beyond his imagination. He quickly retreated. After one strike, the flaming battlefield was split open. Those who were watching the battle from afar were incomparably shocked. What kind of sword technique was this? Lin Xian stood above the 9 heavens like a sword god. He looked down and said coldly, "Didn't you say you were going to kill me? What, you don't dare to do it now? Bring out your true strength." He swung his sword again. The dead spirit roared. The dead soul's abyss bellowed furiously and spat out a voice that filled the sky, causing the entire world to split apart. Endless runes erupted from his body as he activated his bloodline power. It had the body of an undead spirit, and its strength was incomparable. At this moment, it attacked with all its strength. Lin Xian was still not afraid. He brandished his sword and swept through the 9 heavens. His figure was as powerful as a fiend god. Every strike of his sword could shatter heaven and earth. The sound that filled the sky was continuously split apart by his sword technique. Lin Xian strode over. He was already less than 100 meters away from Yuan 40. This distance was negligible. The Dead Soul's abyss snorted coldly. Do you think my killing move is just these sounds? You're too naive. The real killing move is here. He formed a seal with his hands, and at some point, large gray flags appeared around him. There were a total of 36 of them, and they covered the world. At the same time, they enveloped Lin Xian. This was his killing move. Lin Xian stood in the field, looking around, unmoved. He said, "Formation? You can't do anything to me." His body bloomed with a terrifying aura. 9 suns' divine fire swept out. It burned in all directions. 9 suns rotated between heaven and earth. The flames overflowed the flaming battlefield and kept burning. Those who were watching the battle from afar were also shocked. God, what kind of flame is this? Why do I feel that it's more terrifying than the flames on the flaming battlefield? This guy has so many trump cards. Cries of surprise could be heard one after another. The Dead Soul's abyss also frowned. He also felt a threatening flame. It was the power of the purest yang, which was completely opposite to his cold power. It was born to restrain him. Damn it. He had thought that the opponent was from the netherworld, but now it seemed that was not the case. He was from another starry sky world. Moreover, he had seen this kind of terrifying power once before. It was the monkey. Previously, the monkey's eyes had pierced through him. Now he had encountered this flame. It made him angry. His eyes were filled with killing intent. I hate this kind of power the most. I'll tear you to pieces. The aura of death on the 36 flags melted under the light of the 9 suns. It melted like ice and snow, unable to get close to Lin Xian. Lin Xian shouted angrily and attacked one of the flags. The flag swayed, and cracks appeared on it. The Dead Soul's abyss's pupils shrank. He shouted angrily. How dare you? He knew that he could not be careless anymore. His palms kept forming seals. The 36 flags shone brightly, and a rune of law appeared on each of them. The 36 runes were different, and they shone together. Ancient rune of curse. With a roar, the 36 runes shone brightly, and all kinds of terrifying power surged out. This was the power of the curse, forming a cursed space. Lin Xian felt a huge threat inside, as if there was an invisible force that wanted to destroy it. Lin Xian shouted coldly and used the 9 yang divine body to the extreme. He waved his fist, and 9 suns swept between heaven and earth. It burned and melted everything. A flag shattered and turned into nothingness. Following that, the remaining banners were also destroyed. Lin Xian waved his fist, and the 36 flags were shattered by him one after another. However, that terrifying aura still did not disappear. The Dead Soul's abyss sneered. Lin Wudi, you underestimate me too much. Once this ancient rune is out, it is no longer attached to the flag. Even if my Dead Soul's flag is destroyed, this ancient rune will not be destroyed. You will fall under the curse. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. In the distance, Phantom also smiled. He knew that his brother was in a battle and would definitely win. The others were also discussing spiritedly. It seemed that the Dead Soul's abyss's skill was a level higher. Lin Wudi was finished. The undead clan was extremely confident that no one would be able to escape from such a killing move. Not good. Linglong Shui, Hunya, and the others' expressions changed. The 2 great sage lords also frowned. Lin Wudi, how are you going to break such a killing move? To be honest, they were all worried for Lin Xian at this moment. Unless Lin Xian had an even stronger trump card, he was really in danger this time. Chapter 50-44. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian was still not afraid. He waved the long sword in his hand with an aura that could destroy everything, resisting those ancient runes. The power of the dragon-shaped sword chi was boundless. Standing on those ancient runes, the ancient runes kept dimming, and more than a dozen of them cracked open, while the others were also shattered. Is this your method? If you don't have other unique skills, you can't beat me. Lin Xian looked disdainfully in all directions, like a sword god descending. The abyss of dead souls' face became a little dark. To be honest, he never thought that the other party could break his divine ability so easily. The power of these ancient runes was very terrifying. Even the great sage was no match for it. He would definitely fall in despair. However, the other party easily broke it with a few sword moves, which shocked him. It seemed that the other party's strength was beyond his expectations, especially his sword technique, which was unheard of. Good boy, it seems that I have really underestimated you. In that case, then you will suffer despair next. The abyss of dead souls' eyes burst out with an extremely terrifying light. Obviously, he was going to use his strongest unique skill, illusory spirit formation. Terrifying runes flew out from his body one after another, sweeping across all directions, flashing between heaven and earth, instantly forming a powerful formation. There was an extremely terrifying soul power flying out from it, charging towards Lin Xian. This power was even more terrifying than the ancient runes from before. Lin Xian's expression was cold, waving his sword qi, sweeping in all directions, shattering all the soul power. He said, "Is that all? You are really disappointing. Boy, don't be arrogant. My unique skill is not something you can imagine. You will see it later." The abyss of dead souls snorted coldly, forming a seal with his palm. And immediately those shattered runes gathered again. An extremely cold aura was emitted from inside. A terrifying cold wind blew out. This cold wind was as if it was blowing out from the 18 levels of hell, making one's hair stand on end. After blowing past, the surrounding void kept shattering, unable to resist at all. The others also felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with horror. What kind of formation was this? Some people frowned. Could it be that the rumors were true? Legend has it that this formation was made up of winds taken from the 18 layers of hell. It was extremely terrifying, and if the great sage was enveloped by it, he would definitely die. What? Was he that powerful? The others were even more shocked after hearing this. The 18 levels of hell, the deeper one went, the more terrifying it would be. The energy gathered and extracted from there would definitely exceed one's imagination. This Death Soul's abyss was truly terrifying. When the Dead Soul's abyss heard this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a complacent smile. He said, "How's the kid? Did you hear that? How can you resist this kind of energy? Cold moon palm." A deep voice sounded out. Suddenly, an endless amount of wind transformed into a crescent moon that descended and enveloped Lin Xian. The gloomy coldness formed by this crescent moon was even more terrifying. It was as if the entire hell had descended. When the surrounding people felt it, they kept retreating. Their eyes were full of despair. It was over. No one could withstand such an attack. Some older generation figures said that the nether wind formed in this Death Soul's abyss was absolutely not from the first 3 levels. It must be below the 3rd floor. No one could compare to this kind of power, and the others were even more shocked. Most of them could not go to the 3rd floor. However, this Death Soul's abyss could actually go to the 3rd floor and below. How shocking was his strength! The young geniuses sucked in a breath of cold air. Was this a top-notch genius? The gap between them and him was really too big. The Death Soul's abyss was really strong. However, that Lin Wuti was not simple either. To be able to make the Death Soul's abyss use such a unique skill, he should be proud. When this was said, the others also nodded. Yes, the sword technique he used previously was invincible. It could even kill the ancient cursed talisman. If not for the Death Soul's abyss, who had a powerful trump card, if it were anyone else, they would not have been able to withstand such sword energy. The person who said this was an elite from Yanluodian. His body was filled with a black aura, causing the surrounding people to be terrified and their scalps to go numb. Needless to say, this was an extremely terrifying older generation figure. If even he said so, it was enough to show how terrifying the 2 people in front were. Everyone looked over and saw that the battle ahead was extremely terrifying. The crescent moon condensed and spun continuously, while Lin Xian waved his long sword. The Hellfire Dragon sword turned into dragon shadows one after another, sweeping across all directions. The battle between the 2 was earth-shattering. Shui Linglong, Hunya, and the others were all stunned. They could not even get close to such a battle. Not to mention fighting, they could not even block one move. At the same time, they were also shocked. Was that Lin Wudi really young Master Lin? This kind of strength was too heaven-defying. Even the two great sage lords gasped. If it was really Lin Wudi, then this person's strength was too heaven-defying. His future was limitless. Lin Xian, who was in front of him, kept on brandishing his sword light. He had to admit that this Death Soul's abyss was really too powerful. No wonder the other party was so arrogant. It was not that he had not seen geniuses before. In fact, he had seen many of them. He had even fought with Long Ao before. However, this Death Soul's abyss in front of him was stronger than those geniuses. In particular, the unique skills and divine abilities were truly shocking. Lin Xian guessed that the other party should be able to compete with the real emperor's son. Such a person would be at the top no matter which era he was in. No wonder he was called a young great emperor. If he wanted to fight against such an enemy in the past, he would have to go all out. He might even fall into a very dangerous situation. Unfortunately, he was different now. The current him was no longer the same as before. He had cultivated the great emperor's inheritance, which was superior to all other places of inheritance. The unique skills inside were unimaginable to others. His strength had also undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's expression became cold. A peerless formation? Then I'll let you see what a true peerless ability is. Lin Xian stretched out a finger, and an extremely terrifying black rune condensed on it. It was mysterious. Then he pointed his finger. Boom. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This finger turned into a ray of demonic light and flew forward. Wherever it passed, nothing could stop it. Not only that, the demonic patterns on it flickered, causing the entire world to change. It was as if it was no longer hell, but a demonic world. What kind of ability was this? Feeling the power of this finger, the Death Soul's abyss's expression finally changed. He kept waving his arm and condensed it again, forming a moon that kept spinning. He tried to block it. A cold wind blew from the moon, which could freeze everything. It collided with the demonic finger. Countless large cracks condensed between heaven and earth. Did he block it? The Death Soul's abyss heaved a sigh of relief. The others were also shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to still have a unique skill. However, it should not be a match for the Death Soul's abyss. Chapter 50-45. They realized that cracks had appeared on the surface of the cold moon formed by the chilly wind. And there were more and more of them. It was impossible to resist. Finally, with a shattering sound, the cold moon shattered. The black finger charged toward the abyss of dead souls. The abyss of dead souls' pupils shrank, and he quickly retreated, leaving behind an afterimage. The place where he was standing was directly pierced through. Not only that, but a large crack appeared on the entire battlefield, spreading into the distance. The surrounding people felt a wave of fear. If this finger was pointed at them, no one would be able to resist it. It seems that you have a trump card. Lin Xian's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. He had also encountered a peerless enemy. He felt his blood boiling. With such an enemy, killing him would allow him to take another step on the path of martial arts. By then, no one would be able to contend with him. Thinking of this, his figure flashed, and he charged forward. The illusory spirit array erupted again. This time, 10 cold moons appeared, rotating between heaven and earth. Countless people were shocked. Could it be that the abyss of dead souls did not use all his strength before? Heaven, this is too unbelievable. The abyss of dead souls also shouted coldly. Do you know that I have been cultivating in the 4th level of hell all these years? How can you imagine what I have experienced? No one can stop me, and neither can you. His voice resounded between heaven and earth, and everyone was shocked. Heaven, the 4th level of hell, was an even more terrifying existence than the 3rd level. This abyss of dead souls could enter, and it seemed that he had stayed there for a long time. It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian snorted coldly. So what if it was the 4th level of hell? Do you think I have not improved over the years? What I have cultivated is also not something you can imagine. Speaking of this, The light on his finger exploded again. At the same time, he formed a seal with his palm. An endless demonic chi condensed, forming a huge seal. He held it in his hand and slammed it forward. Everywhere it passed, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This attack caused hundreds of black holes to appear between heaven and earth. The light of the stars in outer space scattered down. Countless people were shocked. What kind of magic was this? It surpassed everything. Could it be the legendary Great Emperor's magic? It was too unbelievable. Where did this guy cultivate the Great Emperor's magic? Death Soul's Abyss, can you block this attack? Lin Xian shouted coldly as the black seal rushed forward. The Great Earth Monarch's divine ability, Demon God Seal. Once it was used, its power would be boundless. Before the seal arrived, countless spatial cracks had already appeared in the surroundings. Dead Soul's Abyss's body went cold. He felt a threat to his life. Damn it, what a powerful divine ability. I can feel the aura of extreme Tao. Could it really be a divine ability of the Great Emperor? His expression became unsightly. The undead spirit source was very powerful, enough to enter the 4th level of hell. In the entire underworld, there weren't many young geniuses who could contend with him. One could say that he was very far away. However, no matter how strong he was, the divine abilities and martial arts he cultivated could not be compared to true emperor-level divine abilities. Therefore, at this moment, when facing the real demon god seal, he was also facing a formidable enemy. The expert from the Bridge of Helplessness cried out in alarm. What a terrifying aura. I can feel my soul trembling. Could it really be the power of the extreme Tao? The theurgy of the Great Emperor? The soul sage sucked in a cold breath. It must be a divine ability of the Great Emperor. He had cultivated the earth divine ability, the Azura sword art, and the shadowless heaven's net. Naturally, he could feel the power of the Great Emperor's divine ability. At this moment, the aura coming from the Black Seal was extremely similar to the 2 divine abilities of the Great Emperor. This must be a divine ability of the Great Emperor. Where did Lin Wudi learn this from? They had never taught him before. The Blood Fiend Saint also sighed. This was a true young Great Emperor. Hunya and Shui Linglong were stunned as well. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration. To be honest, they had always wanted to compete with Lin Xian. But now, it seemed that they were too naive. Lin Xian had long surpassed them. They might not even be able to block a single attack from him. The others were even more shocked as they looked ahead. Was this really a divine ability of the Great Emperor? It was as if the Great Emperor had been revived. Dead Soul's Abyss's expression was even colder. I always thought that I could contend with a true Great Emperor. In the entire underworld, there are no more than 5 people who can fight with me. There are no more than 3 who can make me take them seriously. And they are all top geniuses who have been famous for a long time. But I didn't expect that someone like you, who has just appeared in the underworld, could make me feel as if I'm facing a great enemy. Your attack even made me feel despair. If it was in the past, I might not be able to block it. But it's a pity that I didn't cultivate in the 4th level of the underworld for nothing. I've also cultivated my own divine ability. I'll let you see it. Spiritual energy surged in all directions. As his voice fell, heaven and earth shattered in all directions. The earth cracked open and endless flames were extinguished. An extremely terrifying and strange aura spread out. Everyone's pupils shrank as they saw 8 stone tablets appear. A vertical eye was drawn on the surface of each stone tablet. The 8 eyes covered everything. Wherever the gaze passed, the void seemed to be split open by a knife. What was this? The surrounding people were shocked. They didn't expect Dead Soul's Abyss to have such a divine ability. Could it be that it was just created? Looking at this scene, Phantom heaved a sigh of relief. He knew how terrifying the power of spiritual energy surged in all directions was. The other party would definitely not be able to block it. Lin Xian frowned. The other party still had a trump card, but so what? He didn't care at all. Waving his palm fiercely, the demon god seal blasted down. This attack was unstoppable, completely ignoring the 8 stone steels. Seeing this, Dead Soul's Abyss frowned. Wasn't the other party dodging? Where did the other party get the confidence to block the 8 spiritual eyes? The others were also shocked. Was he going to fight with his life on the line? They didn't know why Lin Xian chose to perish together with the other party. But in the next moment, they understood because a pair of black wings appeared behind Lin Xian. With a gentle flap, he instantly disappeared. He actually dodged the gaze of the 8 spiritual eyes and appeared in front of them in an instant. Not good. Dead Soul's abyss pupils shrank. The other party's speed was faster than he expected. Soul Sage exclaimed. This wasn't Shadowless Heaven's net. The other party actually had a movement technique comparable to the Shadowless Swan. And his speed was even faster in a straight line. What kind of movement technique was that? Cracks appeared on Dead Soul's abyss body. He roared. You want to dodge the spiritual eyes and chase after me? Impossible, I'm in the array formation. He roared angrily. The eyes on the stone tablets turned and charged over again. Wherever the gaze passed, it was very fast. In an instant, it had arrived. The black wings on Lin Xian's back flapped again, and he instantly dodged. He seemed to have appeared in a different location. At the same time, he also used Shadowless Heaven's net. Chapter 50-46. The illusory spirit eyes continued to attack. The 8 steals were enough to sweep through everything. Finally, he found an opportunity. The 8 steals attacked together, shattering the void in front of him. Ha 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 ha. The abyss of Dead Souls laughed out loud. So what if his opponent was strong? Anyone who was hit by his illusory spirit eyes would die without a doubt. No one could survive. The others sighed when they saw this scene. Was he hit? What a pity. Lin Wuti was too impatient. If he could be more steady, he might be able to win this battle. Yes, he was too confident in his speed. However, the abyss of Dead Souls was not weak either. No matter how strong he was, he would not be able to withstand the 8 steals' gazes. The battle was over. The necromancers snorted coldly. How dare you fight against the #1 genius of our clan? You're courting death. Voices sounded one after another. Shui Linglong and Hanya were filled with despair. Was it really over? At that moment, a rumble sounded. In the next moment, a vortex appeared in the sky. A demonic figure walked out of it. It's too early for you to be happy. Do you think such an attack can kill me? Lin Xian walked out and looked around. How is that possible? You're not dead? The abyss of Dead Souls was stunned. The others were also in an uproar. Many people exclaimed. How did he block it? The necromancers were stunned. Hanya, Shui Linglong, and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. For a moment, countless discussions sounded. Lin Xian stood there and looked ahead. He said, Do you have any more trump cards? If not, I'll send you on your way. How did you dodge it? The abyss of Dead Souls' expression became unsightly. Lin Xian did not answer. The demon god seal in his hand slammed down. Boom. Demonic chi exploded. It was as if a god had descended to the world, shattering the entire world. The abyss of Dead Souls was sent flying. Endless cracks appeared on his body. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood and half knelt on the ground. He suddenly raised his head with blood-red light in his eyes. Damn it, that attack caused him to be severely injured. Why? Are you in despair? When you made your move on catoptric deflection, did you ever think that this day would come? You couldn't find me, so you attacked my friends. I won't let you off. With that, Lin Xian threw another punch. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. The Dead Souls abyss roared furiously and attacked madly. However, Lin Xian used the 6 Dao fists. With a punch, the 6 paths of reincarnation pressed forward. The Dead Souls abyss was blasted flying again. It split into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. The Dead Souls abyss crazily roared. His shattered body gathered together and fled into the distance. Damnable defeat. Ever since he was struck by the demonic god seal, he had suffered heavy injuries and was no longer a match for his opponent. Furthermore, that punch from earlier contained the power of reincarnation. This kind of power made him extremely terrified. More importantly, there was a golden flame around his body. This kind of flame had the power of extreme yang, and was his nemesis. Therefore, he no longer dared to fight. Countless people looked at this scene in shock, dumbfounded. Was he defeated again? The Dead Soul's abyss actually escaped again. They felt like they were dreaming. Previously, the Dead Soul's abyss fought with a monkey and fled with heavy injuries. They didn't expect that the same situation would happen again. However, this time, it wasn't a monkey, but a human youth. A man named Lin Wudi defeated the Dead Soul's abyss in a domineering manner. This Lin Wudi was probably going to be in danger. That's right. This time, the monkey was chased by the great sage. I think this time, the Dead Soul's race won't let him off either. Discussions broke out one after another, but Lin Xian merely snorted coldly. Don't you think it's too late to escape? Lin Xian naturally knew about the monkey. He wouldn't repeat the same mistake, let alone let the tiger return to the mountain. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian summoned the great dragon sword soul. Holding it with both hands, he slashed down. Everything was over. With this sword strike, the entire world was split into two halves. Everyone was horrified. What kind of sword technique was this? Retreat quickly. They retreated frantically. At the same time, they were shocked. The power of this sword was much stronger than before. Was this the other party's true trump card? Damn it, block it for me. When the Dead Soul's abyss saw this scene, his pupils constricted. He felt his hair stand on end and tried his best to dodge, but he realized that he couldn't dodge this sword at all. Helpless, he summoned a pagoda. The Dead Soul's pagoda. Millions of resentful spirits bloomed on the pagoda, turning into countless shields to block. However, under this sword, all of them were turned into ashes. When the sword slashed out, a dragon's roar sounded between heaven and earth. The Dead Soul's abyss was split in half. This time, the power of the great dragon sword soul completely destroyed his soul, and he could no longer recover. It was over. Lin Xian put away the great dragon sword soul. His cold voice rang out. The others were shocked and didn't dare to believe it. What did he mean by it was over? Was this battle over? Was the Dead Soul's abyss defeated? They looked into the distance, but when they sensed the situation in front of them, they all cried out in surprise. Dead. They could no longer feel the aura of the Dead Soul's abyss. How was this possible? Exclamations sounded one after another. They could accept the defeat of the Dead Soul's abyss. After all, the other party had been defeated once before. But the other party was dead. This was too unbelievable. One had to know how powerful the monkey was previously. He pierced through the Dead Soul's abyss, but he didn't have the ability to kill the other party. In the end, he was even hunted down by the powerhouses of the undead race. But now the Dead Soul's abyss had directly fallen. The power of that sword just now was too strong. This guy seemed to be going to stir up a huge storm. The undead race would definitely not let this matter rest. Everyone was terrified. The undead race roared crazily. Damn it, you actually dared to kill him. You're finished. You're dead. Hurry up and kneel down to accept your death. They had completely gone crazy. The Dead Soul's abyss was their #1 genius, the hope of their family, a powerhouse who would become a great emperor in the future. And their undead race would become an emperor race, sweeping across all directions and standing at the peak of the universe. But now all of this was gone. Because the Dead Soul's abyss was dead. They couldn't accept the fall of such a talented powerhouse with a future. Kill him. Countless people rushed into the sky and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. 9 suns revolved around him. The flames of the purest yang flew out and swept in all directions. In an instant, many people were ignited and let out miserable screams. At the same time, Lin Xian landed the demon god seal again. His hands transformed into 2 large black seals. Wherever they passed, dozens of figures were turned into ashes. Who wants to fight? I'll accompany you to the end. A biting cold killing intent rose. The other people's scalps went numb. The undead race also kept retreating. He was too powerful. They were no match for him at all. This person could take on hundreds of them without a problem. Damn it. Phantom gritted her teeth, her beautiful eyes emitting an extremely strange light. Chapter 50-47. A technique? Seeing the other party's eyes, Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a terrifying light appeared in his eyes. Even the power of reincarnation formed a mountain, and directly pressed down. The phantom screamed and retreated. He closed his eyes and his eyes were bleeding. At that moment, it was as if he was looking at a god. The other party's soul power was too strong, far surpassing his. This sudden scene made the other's hair stand on end. What was going on? Just looking at each other. Was the phantom seriously injured? One had to know that the phantom was in existence second only to the dead soul's abyss, and was also a top genius. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. The undead clan roared crazily. They came to the phantom and asked, "Are you okay?" The phantom said, "His eyes are too terrifying. His eye technique far surpasses mine. I'm no match for him. Hurry up and protect me back." The undead clan was terrified and didn't dare to say anything. They quickly fled with the phantom. Was he defeated? The phantom was defeated in a single glance, and the dead soul's abyss was mercilessly killed. All of this was done by the young man in front of them. They knew that from now on, the underworld would change. Lin Wudi's name would sweep through everything. Those young warriors looked at Lin Xian and clenched their fists. Their faces were filled with excitement and shock. Such a person was a legend in their hearts. Those top geniuses were filled with despair. Even the undead clan was defeated by him, so they were no match for him. They were afraid that from now on, the other party would forever step on their heads. Did he really do it? Ling Longshui couldn't believe it. The two saints also sucked in a breath of cold air. If this boy didn't die, his future was limitless. He might even be able to compete with the Emperor's son, the legendary Great Emperor Realm. Lin Xian looked in all directions. This time, he finally had a sufficient understanding of his own strength. The Dead Soul's abyss was no match for him, so he could compete with the real Emperor's son next. Dragon Prince, just you wait. He was going to return and challenge the Dragon Prince. At this moment he was stunned. He found someone familiar in the crowd. In addition to the people of the illusionary realm, he found Soul Sage, Bloodkill Sage, Strange Soul Cliff, and Ling Longshui. He looked in that direction and nodded slightly. It could be considered a greeting. After all, he had learned 2 monarch divine abilities from there. Is he greeting us? Ling Longshui was taken aback. Father, it really is him. It really was young Master Lin. Previously they still had some doubts, but now they were completely sure. It was the young man they knew. Now he stood at the peak. The news of the fall of the Dead Soul's abyss spread quickly. In the blink of an eye, the entire underworld knew about Granny Meng of the Bridge of Forgetfulness and the Yama Kings of the 10 Palaces. Countless clans and sects were shocked when they heard the news. Hell was about to shake. At the same time, a new name appeared in their ears. Lin Wudi. What an arrogant name. Who in the world would dare to call themselves invincible? However, the other party did have the right to be arrogant. The reason for that was because it was precisely this person who had forcibly killed the Dead Soul's abyss. With a single glance, he had seriously injured the phantom. Who among the younger generation of the underworld would be a match for this Lin Wudi? They thought of 2 people again. These 2 people were existences on par with the Dead Soul's abyss. There had always been battles between the 2 sides, with each side winning and losing. But were these 2 people really a match for Lin Xian? They all had their doubts. When the undead clan heard the news, they were all stunned. What did you say? They roared crazily. Their clan's #1 genius had fallen? This was impossible. They felt that someone was joking with them. However, more and more news came back. In fact, the powerhouses of the undead clan personally escorted the phantom back. They finally broke down. The Dead Soul's abyss had really fallen. His body was cut open by a sword and his soul was destroyed. Damn it. Countless powerhouses of the undead clan roared crazily. Who killed him? Tear him into pieces. Lin Wudi, I will definitely not let him off. Hurry up and kill him. The other party had the talent of a young great emperor, and had become a mortal enemy of their undead clan. Then they would never allow this person to grow. Those who returned said, Elder, this person is not simple. A peak great sage might not be able to kill him. Hearing this, the surrounding people were shocked. Even a peak great sage couldn't kill the other party? Was he already so strong? Those people shook their heads. No, he was like the monkey from before. He had endless trump cards. He was definitely not a match for a peak great sage. However, it would not be easy for a peak great sage to kill him. If he escaped, they might not be able to find him in the vast universe. It seemed that at least 3 peak great sage powerhouses had to be dispatched. Only by sealing off any hope of escape could they completely destroy the other party's soul. When these words came out, many people gasped. Was the other party already so heaven-defying? No matter how strong he was still from the younger generation. No matter how strong he could not compete with a peak great sage. Even she could not compete with a true great sage. It was just that he had a trump card to escape. If we send out 3 peak great sage, I don't believe we can't kill him. Cold snorts could be heard one after another. The undead race instantly gathered 3 peak great sage powerhouses and prepared to attack. However, they stopped because the moment the news spread out, it swept across the world. Soul Sage Monarch and Blood Fiend's Sacred Cauldron jointly announced the news of Killer Temple. The content was very simple. They announced that Lin Wuti was one of them, and was under the protection of Killer Temple. If anyone dared to assassinate him, Killer Temple would attack the enemy regardless of everything. When these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. They did not expect Lin Wuti to be from Killer Temple. It was too inconceivable. Killer Temple was also a powerful organization in the underworld. Moreover, it was a powerful assassin organization. The assassins inside came and went like ghosts. The top assassins even cultivated Emperor-level divine abilities, Shadowless Heaven's Net and Azura Sword Art. It could be said that they were very terrifying. Now that they came out, were they warning the world? Countless people were shocked. They knew that the most important thing was to warn the undead race. Sure enough, when the undead race received the news, they went crazy with anger. Damn it! Does Sand Saint Temple want to be enemies with our undead race? Damn it! Their eyes were red. Kill him. At most, they would fight with Killer Temple. They were not afraid of anything. However, at this moment, the patriarch of the undead race stood out. This was a young man. His expression was abnormally cold. Stop, don't act rashly. Patriarch, those great sage are roaring crazily. Don't you want to make a move? Damn it, they were unwilling. The patriarch of the undead race said. Killer Temple was different from other sections. They were all top assassins. Once the war starts, our undead spirit clan will face a calamity of extinction. Chapter 50-48. As soon as he said this, the others also fell silent. Indeed, the Killer Temple was very terrifying, and it was very unwise to make an enemy out of them. Damn it, were they going to just let it go? The undead clan gritted their teeth. They were very unwilling. Were they going to just let it go? Let it go? How could that be? The clan leader of the undead clan snorted coldly. He killed our first day here. We will definitely not let him go. I will contact the 10 Kings of Hell and ask their top assassins to attack. I think they will be happy to do so. I will give them the best reward, and they should also want to compete with the Sand Temple. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding people lit up. That's right. How could they forget about the 10 Kings of Hell? This was also a terrifying organization. There were many experts in it, and there were also extremely terrifying assassins. They even often had conflicts with the Sand Temple. If they spent a lot of money, they could definitely hire these people. At that time, the experts of the 10 Kings of Hell would attack from all directions. No matter how strong that Lin Wuti was, would he be able to withstand it? Serves him right. This is what he gets for provoking us. The elders gritted their teeth and said, I want him to live a life worse than death. Phantom sighed. At this moment, her eyes were still closed. Because until now, she did not dare to open her eyes. She had fought with Lin Wuti before, so she naturally knew how powerful Lin Wuti was. Their clan was too naive. Did they think that sending these assassins would be able to kill him? To be honest, Phantom did not think so at all. Of course, she did not say anything. The clan was now in a state of madness. No matter what she said, she could not change the will of the clan. Since this was the case, she could only wait and see. She hoped that the 10 Kings of Hell still had some hidden experts. This time they should be able to make a move. Perhaps only then would it be possible. Thinking of this, she clenched her fists. Damn that Lin Wuti. She must kill him and avenge her brother. Monstrous killing intent appeared in the phantom eye. The people of the undead clan were quickly discussing. On the other side, Lin Xian went back with Lord Hun and the others. After returning, the people of the Sand Temple were also happy. They were very satisfied. After all, Killer Saint Hall was huge. Regardless if it was Hun Saint or Blood Fury Saint, they both belonged to Killer Saint Hall. At this moment, a group of powerhouses from the Killing Temple surrounded Lin Xian and nodded their heads incessantly. Very good. At the same time, the elders asked Lin Xian what kind of divine ability the Black Seal was. Was it the Thearch's ability? They even wanted to ask Lin Xian how he had obtained the Arch Mystique. Lin Xian naturally wouldn't tell the truth, so he casually said some things. He even changed the topic. Those elders didn't care too much. Although they also wanted to obtain it, they knew that they couldn't be impatient. They had to take it slowly. Now that Lin Wuti had offended the Undead Spirit Clan, the Undead Spirit Clan would definitely retaliate. Therefore, if Lin Wuti was smart, he would definitely seek help from the Killing Hall. This way, the other party might stay by their side for a long time. At that time, they would have plenty of opportunities. Therefore, they were not in a hurry. At the very least, they could not let the other party be on guard. Lin Xian naturally knew the Killing Hall's plan. He snorted in his heart. Although they said that they were protecting him, the most important reason was that they wanted to obtain the Thearch's inheritance. However, he didn't care. It was better that they weren't in a hurry to make a move because they were wrong. He wasn't afraid of the Undead Spirit Clan's revenge at all. He wouldn't even stay here for too long. He wanted to return to the Holy Abyss ancient city and challenge the Dragon Prince. Next, Lin Xian temporarily stayed in the Sand Sacred Hall. During this time, Shui Linglong and Hanya both came to find him. They even came to ask for advice seriously. Now Lin Xian was like a god in their eyes. Lin Xian didn't reject them and gave them advice. The two of them were enlightened and their eyes lit up. Thank you, young Master Lin. The two of them were overjoyed and immediately went into seclusion after returning. At the same time, they were even more in awe of Lin Xian, because these questions had troubled them for decades or even centuries. But now Lin Xian's words had enlightened them. It made them instantly understand. This showed that the other party's strength far surpassed theirs. It was beyond their reach. Lin Xian also closed his eyes and continued to cultivate the great emperor's inheritance, the illusion demon scripture. On the other side, the Undead Spirit Clan spread the news to the 10 Kings of Hell. The 10 Kings of Hell were 10 huge organizations and sections. They covered a very wide area. They occupied many worlds. At this moment when the news came, they were also shocked. The holy weapon of the Undead Spirit Clan. Heavens, was the Undead Spirit Clan crazy? They even took out such a treasure? The people of the 10 Kings of Hell were shocked. They heard a piece of news. It was that the Undead Spirit Clan had issued a bounty to hunt down Lin Wuti and use Lin Wuti's head in exchange for the Undead Spirit Clan's legendary weapon, the Illusory Spirit Cauldron. The Undead Spirit Clan had a total of 3 legendary weapons. The Illusory Spirit Cauldron was one of them. Its power was very terrifying and famous in the underworld. But at this moment, they actually wanted to offer a bounty. It was really unbelievable. That was a legendary weapon. It was much more powerful than ordinary sacred weapons. Even the peak existence of the great sage would be jealous, because it was an existence second only to the emperor weapon. Even the top families would treat it as a treasure. Most of the families did not even have a legendary weapon. It was simply too difficult to obtain a legendary saint weapon. But now there was such an opportunity in front of them. If they got one, it would be enough to start a family. And it would be a top family. The kind of existence that could occupy countless worlds and sweep through all directions. This mission must be obtained. In fact, even the eyes of the peak great sage cultivators had turned red. Naturally, they also wanted such a treasure. Lin Wuti. Many people frowned. They had naturally heard of this name. It could even be said that it was like thunder in their ears. Because during this period of time, everyone was talking about him. The other party had single-handedly slain the Dead Soul's Abyss and made a name for himself in the underworld. This was also why the Undead Spirit clan would crazily offer a bounty for him. Although they had not seen that battle with their own eyes, they had all heard of it. The other party was very powerful, and the divine ability he used was terrifying. In fact, thinking about it, someone who could kill the Dead Soul's Abyss in a head-on battle was definitely not an ordinary person. However, there were many experts among the 10 kings of Hell. Naturally, some people did not care. No matter how strong the other party was, he was just a young man. No matter how strong he was, could he be stronger than the experts of the older generation? These experts of the older generation stood at the peak of the Sage realm. They were experienced and had fought countless battles. Chapter 5049. Chujiang Hall. A man surrounded by black lightning heard the news, and a smile appeared on his face. Lin Wudi. Sacred Weapon Legacy? Very well, I'll take this mission. Killing him is easy. The Sacred Weapon Legacy is mine. A lady in red walked over and said, Thunderbolt, be careful. This young man isn't simple. He killed the existence of the Dead Soul's Abyss. The man surrounded by black lightning laughed after hearing this. It's fine. If Thunderbolt, want to make a move, no matter how strong he is, can he withstand it? As he spoke, he waved his hand and pointed into the distance. Do you see that wall? It was built with the heads of saints. When I swept across the world, he probably wasn't even born yet. Thunderbolt was an extremely terrifying assassin in Chujiang Hall. He was also an exceptional expert. He had killed too many saints. It was impossible to count. It was said that he used the bones of those people to build a white bone palace. The wall at the back was also built with the heads of top-notch saints. The strength of such a person would definitely shock the world. If he were to target someone, that person would probably be in despair. Thunderbolt stood up and looked at the lady in red. Go and find the news of Lin Wudi for me. Keep an eye on him, and see when he leaves Sand's Sacred Hall. Lin Xian originally wanted to leave. However, there was something that made him stop temporarily. It was Xue Linglong's birthday. 2 days later, it was Xue Linglong's birthday. Many young prodigies were invited. Countless clans and sects came to pay their respects. After all, Xue Linglong was an extremely terrifying prodigy. His father was the Blood Fiend Saint, who was a powerful saint. Hence, her birthday banquet was exceptionally grand. Xue Linglong naturally invited Lin Xian immediately. If Lin Xian could appear at her banquet, it would be an extremely honorable thing. Lin Xian couldn't reject. Hence he nodded and agreed. 2 days later, he went to the Blood Fiend Saint's residence. He realized that there was indeed a sea of people. Countless people came to congratulate him. Lin Xian had encountered many top-notch geniuses, but these people were far inferior to him. After all, the Death Soul's Abyss was ranked in the top 5 or even top 3 amongst the younger generation of the underworld. The fact that he was able to kill Qin Yi meant that his strength had entered the top 3 of the top geniuses of the underworld. The others were no match for him at all. When these people saw that Lin Xian had arrived, they naturally exclaimed in surprise. Each and every one of them looked at him with adoration and respect. Many young women even came over to greet Lin Xian. Lin Xian released a trace of his aura, which surrounded the surroundings. The strong naturally had the demeanor of the strong. Besides, he didn't want to be disturbed by these people. Hanya also came. He accompanied Lin Xian and introduced many people to him. Lin Xian looked over and nodded slightly. Then he looked ahead. Xue Ling was up ahead. She had specially dressed up today. She was like the goddess of hell, making countless people look up to her. If he could marry someone like Xue Ling, it would probably be the work of 3 lifetimes of luck. Xue Ling ignored the others and came over to Lin Xian. She only had eyes for Lin Xian. This gaze made Lin Xian laugh bitterly. This girl couldn't have fallen for him, right? However, it was impossible between them. He wouldn't stay in the underworld for too long. Damn it, the goddess was actually with Lin Wudi. The surrounding people gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. They were furious, but they didn't dare to say anything. Who would dare to challenge Lin Wudi? That would be courting death. Lin Xian ignored these hostile gazes. These people weren't his match. Suddenly he narrowed his eyes. He realized that someone in the crowd had released killing intent towards him. Although it was only for a moment, Lin Xian's soul was extremely strong. He could clearly sense it. Someone wanted to kill him. Who was it? Because he was standing with Xueling? Impossible. These people knew his identity. They knew that he killed the Dead Soul's abyss. Who would dare to attack him now? Then there was only one other possibility. It was the undead race. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. The undead race. Did they want to die? He didn't mind sending them to hell. Sir Lin. Please. Xueling invited Lin Xian to the VIP seats. Then she sat beside him. Hanya sat down as well. At this moment, a woman came from afar. Her face was red and filled with excitement. Young Master Lin, I really respect you. She held a flower basket in her hand. Sir Lin. This is for you. Alright, leave it here. Hanya knew Lin Xian's attitude, so he said directly. The woman nodded, then placed the flower basket on the table and turned to leave. When she left, her lips curled into a mysterious smile. Hanya and the others ignored her. After that, many female saints came to give gifts. The entire table was piled up into a mountain. Of course, during this process, countless genius young masters came to invite Xueling for a drink. It could be said that Lin Xian's side was very lively. Xueling, Hanya, and the others didn't notice, but Lin Xian frowned slightly. In the next moment his pupils shrank. A cold golden light appeared in his eyes. He snorted coldly. The dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and directly destroyed the aura that entered his body. Then he stared at the table in front of him. It was also the first flower basket. There were some flowers inside. They were all precious spiritual herbs. Lin Xian's eyes were cold. He didn't pay much attention to the previous ones. These flowers weren't poisonous, but when a few of them worked together, they could release a kind of poison. It was a kind of poison mixed together. Once it was formed, the smell couldn't be detected at all. But if a saint absorbed it, they would probably die from the poison. So vicious. Who was this person coming for? It was very likely that he was coming for him. Lin Xian's face was cold. With a wave of his hand, a ball of fire burned the flower basket to ashes. In the next moment he stood up. Xueling Long and Hanya were stunned. What's going on? Who made Lin Xian so angry? Young Master Lin. Xueling Long wanted to say something, but in the next moment, her face paled and she almost fainted. Hanya's scalp went numb. Lin Xian waved his hand. Two dragon-shaped sword energies entered their bodies. It destroyed their poison. Then he said that the first flower basket was poisonous. Where's that woman? Find her. Poisonous. Hanya's pupils shrank. Xueling Long's expression also changed. No wonder she almost fainted just now. Luckily Lin Xian was here. Otherwise they would really be in danger today. Young master, don't worry. I'll send someone to find her. Xueling Long stood up and gritted her teeth. Lin Xian shook his head. No need. I'll go myself. Today is your birthday party. You're the star. He's coming for me. Chapter 50-50. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden light that enveloped the world. Soon, a smile appeared on his face as he walked into the distance. In a remote corner of the mansion, there was a purple-clothed woman. She was the first person to deliver the flower basket to Lin Xian. At this moment, there was a sneer on her face. What Lin Wudi? He can't even detect my combination poison. What kind of top genius is he? Let's see how he'll die this time. She had great confidence in her methods because she had once used this method to kill 10 people of the great sage. Moreover, those people didn't even know how they died when they died. So this time, in her opinion, it would be no exception. As long as she killed Lin Wudi, she could go to the undead clan to collect the reward. That was a sacred weapon passed down from generation to generation. After obtaining it, she could start her own clan and pass it down for 10,000 years. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel excited. You want to kill me with your poison? You're too far away. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. The purple-clothed woman's pupils shrank as she turned her head abruptly. She shouted coldly. Who is it? The next moment she was stunned. You're not dead. When she saw Lin Xian walking over, she was so scared that her face turned pale, and she took a few steps back. What's going on? Shouldn't the other party have poisoned her? How could he still be alive? And she even found him. I've already discovered your poison. You're too weak to kill me with this method. Did the undead clan find such a person? The purple-clothed woman broke out in cold sweat. She thought her plan was flawless, but it turned out that the other party had already discovered it. It was ridiculous that she was still fantasizing about killing him. Spare my life. She directly knelt down and kept kowtowing. The other party was so strong that she was no match for him in a head-on battle. These assassins use sneaky assassination techniques. Now that their assassination techniques had been broken, she really didn't have much choice. Tell me, how many people do you have? What other methods does the undead clan have? Lin Xian asked coldly as he walked forward. At this moment, the purple-clothed woman suddenly raised her head and threw 2 crystal balls forward. There was an extremely terrifying green poisonous gas inside. Go to hell. The crystal ball cracked open and poisonous gas emerged from within, enveloping Lin Xian. Ha 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 ha, what Lin Wudi? I used a little trick, and you died at my hands. Next, I want to make a name for myself. The purple-dressed woman laughed heartily, but she was soon stunned. His expression even became frightened, and he knelt on the ground again. This time, she was really scared. A sword light streaked across the sky, splitting her poisonous gas into 2 halves. Then Lin Xian walked out. Divine flames were burning around his body. Everything was isolated from the outside world. How could this be? How could the other party be so strong? The purple-clothed woman looked terrified. She had only heard of how terrifying he was, but she had never seen him before. Therefore, when she saw this scene, her face turned cold. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the 9 suns' divine fire flew out, transforming into a golden crow that enveloped his opponent. The purple-clothed woman let out a miserable howl as she burned in the raging flames. She knew that she couldn't live, but she gritted her teeth and roared. Lin Wudi, you won't live long if you kill me. I'm just the first killer. After this, there will be more and more killers chasing after you. The 10 Yama Kings are as numerous as the clouds. Even with the protection of the Sand Holy Temple, you won't be able to escape death. The 10 Yama Kings? Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He didn't have any grudges with these sections. The purple-clothed woman laughed wildly. You're too naive. In order to take revenge, the undead clan took out a sacred weapon as a reward. This is enough to cause anyone to go crazy, so just wait for your death. As soon as she finished speaking, she was burned to ashes. Lin Xian frowned. The other party had actually taken out a saint weapon of legacy. That was truly extravagant. It seemed that there would be countless experts coming to assassinate him. The undead clan was haunting him. There would be a day when he would completely destroy them. As for those saint killers who came to assassinate him, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't let them go. He wouldn't wait passively. Instead, he would take the initiative to attack. These people wanted to kill him, so he would kill them first. He wanted everyone to be terrified. At the same time, he wanted everyone to know what would happen if they dared to make a move on him. Lin Xian went back to continue attending the banquet. After the banquet, late night came. Lin Xian stood on a mountain peak. His demonic aura was monstrous, and his golden pupils shrouded the heaven and earth. At this moment in the 9 heavens, there was also a pair of golden eyes looking down on the world. Lin Xian was using the heavenly secret divine eye with all his strength. He wanted to detect the existence of those killers. These saint killers were terrifying. They had all kinds of hidden methods. However, as long as the other party had killing intent, Lin Xian could still find them. After all, Lin Xian's eye technique was terrifying. The heavenly secret divine eye had absorbed enough reincarnation power. It was already beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Under this pair of eyes, nothing could be hidden. Lin Xian's face immediately turned gloomy. He didn't expect there to be so many killers around. The number of killers surprised him. If it wasn't for the news he received today, he would probably never have a day of peace. But now Lin Xian was ready to attack. Lin Xian slowly formed a seal with his palms. He used one of the Emperor's abilities in the demon summoning scripture. Demonic shadow. It was an existence that could create millions of doppelgangers in an instant. Lin Xian created 100 doppelgangers. Each of them was like a god-fiend. Then they flew in all directions. In a valley, a towering tree swayed with the wind. At this moment, a demonic figure descended. Then he slammed his palm towards the ancient tree. The ancient tree was split into pieces. It let out a crazy roar. Who was it? This ancient tree was also a terrifying killer. He roared crazily. He hid very well, but he didn't expect to be discovered in an instant. Moreover, this person's strength was beyond imagination. Naturally, this was one of Lin Xian's doppelgangers. With a wave of his hand, the 9 suns' divine fire flew out and burned the ancient tree. Soon, the ancient tree disappeared into thin air. Not only that, but Lin Xian's 100 doppelgangers also attacked in all directions. One by one, they were quickly killed by him. Lin Xian's real body also made a move. Inside the 7-story pagoda, the aura was majestic and the array formation was flickering. A man had an array formation in his hand. He was constantly shaking it. The array formation recorded a few images. If one looked closely, they would find that the figures in the array formation were all Lin Xian. This person was also a terrifying killer. He was studying Lin Xian. For these killers, killing in one blow was the best. If they missed the opportunity, it would be difficult to succeed in the future. Every time, he would study the enemy like the back of his hand. It was an old man. He was wearing a wide black robe. Under the black robe was a skeleton. Chapter 50-51. The old man was very famous. He was called the Iron Hand Skeleton. His assassination methods were very powerful. At this moment, not only were there records of formations beside the Iron Hand Skeleton, but there were also various scrolls. They were all information about Lin Xian. I'm definitely not a match for a top-notch genius in a head-on battle. However, if it's an assassination, the other party might not be able to dodge it. It seems that his physique is very strong, but I can use my soul to kill him. Thinking of this, the corner of his mouth raised. With a wave of his hand, he took out a large black cauldron. There was a flying knife floating inside. The flying knife was engraved with runes, surrounded by countless resentful spirits. There was also this terrifying blood water. Spirit Slayer Blade. I spent all my wealth to get you. I hope you won't disappoint me. This was a very terrifying forbidden weapon that specialized in slashing people's souls. No matter how strong the other party was, his soul would probably be destroyed immediately after being slashed by the Spirit Slayer Blade. Holding the Spirit Slayer Blade in his hand, the old man smiled proudly. However, at this moment, the void split open, and a sword light streaked across, piercing directly towards the old man. Immediately the old man's head flew up. How is this possible? The old man was shocked. He tried his best to turn around, wanting to see who the other party was. In the next moment he saw it clearly. A black figure like a demon appeared. It was his target, Lin Wudi. Is the gap so big? The old man's eyes were filled with despair. He had the Spirit Slayer Blade, but he didn't have the chance to use it. He was killed by the other party's sword. Lin Xian walked over and snorted coldly. He used the Azura sword technique in that attack. One sword kill. The other party couldn't resist at all. At this moment, the old man died. The black cauldron beside the old man was shaking nonstop. There was a terrifying aura inside. It seemed to be about to fly out. With a swoosh, a terrifying blade light slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt his hair stand on end in an instant. So terrifying. These assassins really have powerful trump cards. Under this blade, no one in the Great Sage realm would be able to resist. Even a sage would be shocked and have their hair stand on end. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The power of reincarnation appeared in his right eye, transforming into a mountain that crushed down. After suppressing the Spirit Slayer Blade, Lin Xian grabbed it and erased Mask Soul. What a terrifying weapon! It specialized in destroying souls. It was a good item. Lin Xian waved his hand and put away his soul imprint. He did not attack again. Instead, he carefully sensed his surroundings. At this moment, the 100 doppelgangers were moving swiftly. Even though they were just doppelgangers, they were still extremely frightening. A one-hit kill. It could be said that his means were superb. But at this moment, he felt uneasy, as if something was about to happen. Thinking of this, his body swayed and he was ready to float to another place. Do you want to leave? Don't you think it's a little late? A faint voice sounded in the sky. It made Ing Pailai's body stiffen. Who is it? He looked in all directions. The next moment, he discovered that a man in a black robe had appeared in front of him. Who are you? Ing Pailai was stunned. Lin Xian, on the other hand, laughed. You came to kill me, but you don't even know who I am? It's you. Ing Pailai was shocked and could not believe it. Was this his target, Lin Wudi? He took a closer look and sucked in a cold breath. The other party was too young. He was even younger than he had imagined. Moreover, the other party indeed only had the aura of a sage ruler. Could such a person really kill the Dead Soul's abyss? He did not believe it. However, the other party could easily discover him and block his path. It was enough to show that this young man had hidden very well. Kill. Since he had encountered him, there was nothing to say. He was very tempted by the legendary sage weapon. He had to kill the other party. Endless black thunder struck forward, splitting the void into black holes one after another. With such a terrifying attack, the other party would definitely die. As long as the other party dodged, then he would immediately use his backup move. However, the other party did not dodge at all. Ing Pailai snorted. You scared me to death. I thought you were some kind of expert. It turned out that you were just an idiot. You don't even know how to dodge? However, he soon realized that he had thought too much. It was not that the other party did not know how to dodge. The other party did not even bother to dodge. A fist blasted over, directly shattering the thunder in the sky. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.